Hey, sup, I'm Crow, and I'm stealing a format that has been stolen enough times at this point that I don't really need to tell you that I'm stealing it. It's fine. I polled my audience, and then some, about their 5 favorite Rain World regions, and now here I am to present the results in a video format. We got over 500 votes spread across over 150 regions, both official and modded, and I ain't got time to yap about every last one. I already have videos for that, so let's just get straight to the point here. But before that, what about our biggest losers? The Rain World regions and subregions that didn't manage to scrounge up even a single vote? Let's have a moment of reflection as we pay tribute to these fallen titans of mediocrity. Some tunnel. Linear systems rail. The rot's recursive transform array. Struts. Looks to the moon's memory conflux. Corrupted factories. Decaying tunnels. Blast deck. And finally, Ridgeworks. Yeah, only 9 out of the, by my count, 100 official Rain World regions and subregions didn't get any votes, which means that anything I didn't mention just now did. Some of them just a single vote, mind you, and we may as well blow through all of those right now. Starting off with Abstract Convergence Manifold from Looks to the Moon. Yeah, I think pretty much everyone who would have voted for this just voted for the region itself instead, because, like, there's really not that much difference in doing so. Next up, we have Aerial Tramway from Either Ridge, the only Either Ridge subregion to receive a vote. Don't worry, the region as a whole did better than any of its parts. Oh, and forgot to mention earlier, but I allowed folks to leave comments with their votes, and the one voter for this subregion did so. The color palette is phenomenal, and I like the little bell that chimes occasionally. Would have to agree that the vibes of this place are quite nice, yeah. And it's got moths, making it objectively the best region in the game, besides all the other ones with moths. We got a pair of funny voters for some inv regions, Tubes, and its associated subregion Andrew's Basement, which, yep, they do be tubes alright. Happy Pride Month, y'all. Submerged Superstructure's Auxiliary Transmission Array's single voter mostly spent their comment on dissing my main man Saint, so I'm nullifying this vote and not actually counting it. It does have the Marriage Vulture unlocked though, that's true. And the fun little bonus I got for Saint. That's about all I got. 2 more subregions from the rot, Cystic Conduit and Primary Cortex. The latter's commenter saying, "Depressed Pebbles makes me sad." Yeah, he is really going through it here. His Desert Island disc is one single 15-second song, and he's been listening to it for hundreds of years. That's the level of depression I could only dream about. Okay, the next 3 single votes I want to highlight are Fallen Tramway, Tundra Fault, and their associated host region, the service itself. Yeah, all with just 1 vote apiece, and all from different voters too. The region voter said that it reminded them of Sate's campaign, the Fallen Tramway voter said that it was between this and Silent Contract for their last vote, and the Tundra Fault voter just said, it's cool. All 3 of which are equally valid reasons for their respective votes. Alright, I want to blow through the rest of the meme in votes here, so we have Farm Arrays, Memory Crypts, Nachos Will Never Be the Same, and Tower of Gains. The first one left an absolutely wild rollercoaster of a comment that I feel the need to read out in full. Absolutely atrocious region, literally 100% luck. Yeah, I remember the first time I touched grass too. But only if you're going rightwards to Sky Island. I could go on for several paragraphs describing my hatred for that segment. I'm jumping from monk to in- Huh? What? Okay. I'm jumping from monk to inv, and I was stuck in that section for 2 entire months and eventually just restarted my save. The rest of the region, though, is really fun, thanks to the wormgrass and squidcadas. Having to carry a spore puff and a squidcada around at the same time is a neat challenge. Partially the worst region imaginable, partially the best thing ever. I'll freely admit I've never even seriously tried inv's campaign because I love myself too much, so I'm just gonna trust that all that is true. May want to get diagnosed with Stockholm Syndrome though from the sound of things. From our Memory Crypts voter, what if Memory Crypts, parentheses boring, nah, but go on, had Miras Vultures and Red Centipedes. The original is already fun and quirky, but now you also have to survive while you're in the gaps, and you have to be even more strategic during the pre-cycle. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. I figured it's just cause this is where the campaign starts, and thus the one that most people have experienced. The Nachos voter specifically commented that they wanted to be the only one voting for the region, so congrats. I mostly remember this one for causing softlocks because the death cheese would flood your shelter and insta-kill you before you could do anything about it. Very funny. And the Tower of Games voter is another Stockholmer, it seems. Seems like a masochistic choice at first, and at second, third, and so on, but go on. But I find it quite fun to use spears to bypass electrified platforms, navigating in pitch darkness when you can't even see the poles, and that one deadly long ways you have to cleverly get past. Very well designed and stays fun after 100 deaths. Again, whatever floats your boat. I regret to inform everyone that this is not the last time I'll be talking about inv in this video. Another bundle of regions I'm gonna cover together, a handful of single-voted Saint variants, including Frosted Cathedral from Silent Construct, Icy Monument, Looks to the Moon, but specifically in Frigid Coast, Solitude solitary towers, and windswept spires. Was hoping to see a few of these get votes, and I'm honestly disappointed we didn't get at least a few more, but eh. From the Frosted Cathedral voter, Shaded Citadel is already my favorite vanilla region, so I hold a special place in my heart for Frosted Cathedral. The frozen wasteland that is Saint elevates it just all the more. I just knew when I entered it that it would have its frigid fingers wrapped around my heart. Pretty much how I feel about the Saint regions as a whole, yeah. A fresh take on regions I already knew and mostly loved. The Icy Monument voter just liked the vibes, the Frigid Coast voter didn't leave a comment, and the Solitary Towers voter, actually I'll read this one because it's like a fundamental Saint experience. I was playing Saint as the last campaign before the Watcher DLC and hadn't gotten spoiled. So wondering where Pebbles is, I went the usual way via Chimney Canopy. It was incredibly powerful to enter Chimney Canopy, expecting the bridge to still be there. It not being there left me stunned for quite some time, making this variant of Chimney Canopy my favorite. Yeah, I highlighted this moment at the end of Rainworld for a reason. One of the many gut punches of the campaign. It's so good. And lastly, from the Windswept Spires voter, it was me! Yeah, I voted in my own poll, and I'm glad I did, because like, someone had to give love to the best version of Sky Islands. It's got everything that makes the vibes of the original so lovely, but now blanketed in beautiful snow. It's so clever the way all the gates requiring level 3 karma traps you in the region until you meet your first echo and understand your goal, and the region itself functions as a phenomenal example of just how overpowered Saint's tongue is as a movement tool. And that's where the campaign comes full circle at the start and end too, making it one of the few Rainbow regions I've cried over. Though I was dangerously close to giving my vote to Frigid Coast instead. Okay, back to funny business. Infested Waste also got a vote, which, actually, nah, I totally get this one. Though its voters seem confused as to whether or not it counted. Of course it does. Would have loved to hear their reasoning, but well. This region is actual Rainworld hell, and it's kinda disgusting, /pause. Memory Conflux 5 Pebbles Edition got a single vote, unlike its Looks to the Moon counterpart, though with no comment, so I'm left wondering why. I guess it's neat. Breaking things is fun. Then there's the floor from Metropolis, another instance where I imagine most people who would have voted for this one just voted for the region as a whole instead. But I do love the vibes of this part of the region. It's a cozy kind of dark. Next up, the Heart from Submerged Superstructure, whose voter wrote, "This region feels like a final swim through the dimly lit tunnels of a dying place. Aquaphobia playing here fits so well, and I love the final room." It basically is the climax of Rivulet's campaign, yeah, with Bitter Area serving as a nice literal cooldown afterwards. Neat little region. And last, and certainly least, look, I'm not here to judge anyone's taste, but Vents from Looks to the Moon, I'm gonna struggle to be kind to my least favorite region in the game, I'm sorry to say. And without an associated comment, I'm just gonna assume this voter really wanted to piss me off, so congrats, I think. But like, nah, it's got atmosphere, I'll give it that, and not much else. Okay, that's all the official regions that got one vote, but, well, I did say modded regions were allowed, and we got a lot of voters throwing their favorites into the mix. About 50 modded regions got mentioned, half of them more than once even. Admittedly, I don't quite have the time or interest to check out every last one of these myself, so I'm just gonna go off comments or vibes for any lacking a comment. Footage here probably won't be my own either, sorry. Would be too much work to gather my own just for these brief little snippets. Anyways, deep breath. Abyss, whose voter wrote, "It's got a really cool concept of most of the region being super deep underwater, but it's very unfinished." You know what? Yeah, sounds like my kind of jam. Ashen Monolith, the Saint variant of the quite popular The Mass, which we will be seeing later, so more on it later, I guess. Bioengineering Center, which, true to its namesake, gives the vibes of a gloomier, redder industrial complex. Commenter just wrote lovely aesthetic, and I'd have to agree. Coral Caves, the original mod, which, yeah, gonna have to concur that having the full thing in one package is better than the outer parts separated, and I had played this one before the Watcher, so not the only Watcher region to get votes explicitly for its original modded version, don't worry. Actually, on that note, let's skip ahead to Heat Ducts from the original Aether Ridge mod, which to my understanding was way more difficult than the Watcher version, which is already one of the most difficult platforming gauntlets in Rainworld, so sounds terrifying. Deep Lake from Forsaken Station, a combination dark and watery subregion that the voter simply described as horrible heart emoji. I'd believe it. Derelict Rigs from Luminous Cove, another region to store and remember me for later. Again, wish I had a comment for this one, but for what I'm seeing, it does look quite beautiful. Drainage Canal, which strikes me as a hybrid of drainage system and garbage waste. Can't complain, that the voter simply described as very fun to explore. Drainage System Plus, which is what it says on the tin, an expanded version of Drainage System. There's a huge number of rooms for the Drainage System where you can parkour, swim, and enjoy unique things. And there's great music too. Honestly, I'd check this one out if I had the time, because I am that kind of sicko. Yep. Forlorn Valley, the Saint version of Forsaken Station, which, yes, will be showing up later as well. Gilded Sanctuary, which, yep, looks quite golden. Gives off some Shaded Citadel and also Devs vibes from what I'm seeing. Very Ancients coded. Lunar Byway, a small little region that looks kind of like Darkened Heat Ducts with touches of the wall. I do love me a platforming heavy region. Metropolis 2. I can't find evidence that this region exists, and it's ridiculously hard to search for, so here's Dream Theater's 1999 album Metropolis Part 2. It's really good. This same voter also voted for Pipe Castle, the Lightning Rod, and Transmission Sector, none of which seem to exist either, but they did include one real actual modded region in their votes, so woohoo. Overgrown Sanctuary Sanctuary, whose only comment reads, "I made it lol." It's giving Shaded Citadel but green, which is far from a bad thing. Overgrown Urban, which I'll just defer to the voters' comment here. This region combines everything I love about Rain World. The aesthetics are absolutely gorgeous and unique from any other regions, but still evoke a feeling of exploring long-lost ruins. The enemies are balanced, fun platforming is present all across well-designed rooms, and all the new items feel fresh yet intuitive. Looks quite pretty, yeah. Pilgrim's Ascent, another one I have actually played, which is basically just the exterior if it started in Garbage Waste instead. Probably one of the least custom-feeling regions I've seen, for better or worse. Serene Grotto from Lush Mire, which interestingly did not get any votes by itself, just this sub-region. Another region I've played before, and it's very, very green. Verdant Waterways lovers would be proud. The Great Behemoth, which I know doesn't exist because the voters said so. Apparently, it's very humid and wet, super cool and red, but also breaking apart. Sounds neat, you should make it. The Radiosphere, a very gray and gloomy platforming-focused region that seems pretty neato. Looks both cozy and desolate. And lastly, and probably least, Vile and Lawful Pit. It's a big pit. Peak Rain World level design. Tragically, Horrible Evil Tunnel and Awful Malicious Pole did not receive any votes, nor the Desert Bust. Shame on y'all for taking this thing so seriously. Now we move on to the regions that received the second vote. Popular enough to not be alone, but not popular enough to be a crowd. Starting with, oh hey, there it is, Crumbling Fringes. The objectively most popular rotted region. I imagine it was both voters' first and possibly only rotted region given the comments. Going through such a familiar and fundamental region now taken over with rot was an extremely off-putting feeling, but it was something I loved doing, and crazy to see how much the world has changed, and I just love the purple goop and vines and goop trees, etc. everywhere. The rotted regions do have a vibe to them, yeah. Then we have, what? 5 Pebbles? Oh, the subregion from Solid Construct. Yeah, another pretty emotionally devastating part from Saint's campaign. The worst part is, you know he's gonna be there, but just how far gone he is still comes as a shock. Really a mercy kill more than anything. Next up, Garbage Wastes. Oh, the past variants that Artificer and Spearmaster get. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Weirdly enough, both voters seem to have beef with the original Garbage Wastes too. Other people dislike the acid water mechanic, and I mean, sure, I get it, but I just love being able to see Garbage Waste before it became the hell it is today. Not a fan of present day, am I weird? And then, unlike actual Garbage Waste, this one is very fun to go through and explore. It's also got a lot of rot, which makes me love it even more. I'm just gonna throw that second voter into the in-voters category of masochistic tendencies. Nah, but I do think this variant is cool. I'm glad we got to see it, even if it's kind of hell on earth to actually play. Neural Terminus from Looks to the Moon. Yeah, this is a neat little parallel to General System's Bus, and I still think it's so cool that we get to see the Shoreline Rooms pre-collapse. Both voters also brought up the music, and while Reflection to the Moon isn't my absolute favorite track or anything, I can't deny that it really does elevate the region, yeah. 2 votes for 5 Pebbles Recursive Transform Arrays, which is 2 more than the Rots version got. One commenter wrote, "I really like its vibe. It's a chill area after passing Daddy Longlegs, and I really like the noise of Transformers and electrical devices here." The other simply wrote, "Vibes are dope, especially love the big room." And yeah, you know what? I get it. It does have some kind of vibe to it. I wish you had more of a reason to go here on repeat playthroughs though, is all. Shockingly, Sailnation not only got a vote, but more than one. There's at least 2 other swimming sickos out there in the world, hell yeah. One wrote, "I love the dark, I love underwater, I love the anglerfish, yippee!" So true, bestie. The other, oh, a true swimming sicko, "I was stuck between Drainage and Sailnation for the longest time. I'm an insane person who loves them both a lot. My favorite parts of Drainage are the water tunnels everyone else hates, and I love that Sailnation is like you would turn those tunnels into a whole region. This region was made for insane people like me who love Rainbow swimming mechanics and water levels. The anglers scare the crap out of me though. I really cannot believe the anglers were not there at the time of Watcher's launch. They feel so important to the areas they show up in, and so scary, yeah, love those guys." Next up, aw, this is too low, even if I didn't vote for it. Thermo Relay from Heat Ducks, which one commenter summarized perfectly. "Best platforming region in the entire game. A bit small, unfortunately." Yeah, its size is the only real knock against it, though I can't see how you'd expand the core concept much further without it starting to get repetitive, so I'm not sure I even really agree. Still love this place though, it's so cool. And rounding out the official regions, kind of. We forgot to render this one, sorry. Okay, well, this invariant is just a really funny bit. Probably funnier if you're more familiar with the level editor, which I'm not, but I get the joke anyways. As for our comments, what if Rain World was a puzzle-solving game? And figuring out which rooms are worth bombing or not is neat, and the creature spam is surprisingly manageable on Outskirts. Apparently there's a puzzle aspect to this one? I'd believe it. It's one of the better inv regions for my money. Okay, on to the modded regions that managed a second vote, starting with, oh hey, Far Shore. Yeah, here's here's another one of my votes. I kinda had to after how much I gassed it up in the Watcher region ranking, and it did take the vote I would have otherwise given to Rusted Rex, but I can't help it. I just think this region is so cool. Hell, playing it again a few months back, I swear it's bigger than it used to be too. So many unique little subregions here, but it all feels cohesive, and the overall vibe of the main part of the region is lovely too. A few special twists as well that I don't want to spoil, but y'all really should check this one out for yourselves. Only 2 votes for it is a crime. The other voter for this one totally gets it, at least. Really cool concept of exploring the expanse in the opposite direction and the ocean past moon. Cause yeah, it's also what I said I wanted to see more of in my original region ranking. Genuinely feels like a region made just for me. Thank you, Mermis? I don't know. Banger region though, yeah. Okay, next up, Hollowed Grotto. Seems like a very dark and greed region, loving the vibes of what I'm seeing. According to one voter, it has an interesting premise of every room being different in every campaign, but it feels unpolished. The other commented, fun region, well designed, a little too wet, unpolished yet well designed. I'll let you two fight it out in the video comments. Howling Rift, here's another I've played before. Ooh, yeah, this one's really spooky and really difficult to boot. Honestly, the color palette gives it shades of Rubicon, which it predates, so. Mossy Rifts, which I tragically cannot find much about other than it looks like some kind of hybrid of outer expansion shaded citadel, seems like my kind of vibe, yeah. Outer Outskirts, which is, well, exactly what it says on the tin, more outskirts. Both voters who voted for this also voted for Mossy Rifts, and they had the same creator, so I'm gonna assume they're probably friends. Can't really complain about more outskirts, and it looks like these new rooms capture the vibe pretty well, yeah. Purification conduits, which to me looks like drainage system but brown, sans any really devilish water puzzles. One voter wrote, pipe yard if it was good, which dang, but also I can kinda see it. The other says, it's just a cool little region with a great palette and great balance. My theory is that it's the guts of one of the Iterator prototypes. Neat. Scorched District, another I've played. This, Pilgrim's Ascent, and Far Shore are all part of the same mod pack, I think, so that's where I first played them. Easy to just call it Brown Metropolis, but it's got a nice deserty feel and some Iterator structure integration that makes it stand out. Oh, and one commenter reminded me of what said mod pack is called. Great expansion that fits well with Sunlit Trail and Downpour. The overall layout of the region has enough variety and is fun to explore platforming and creature-wise. Curiously, I don't think I've played every Sunlit Trail region, but I do see quite a few that got votes in this poll. Speaking of, the Anchor from Chasing Wind. Oh, well, somebody had to make a Chasing Wind region, huh? Seems to be the region's exterior equivalent, and god, this place looks lovely. Both commenters agree. Very similar, but barely worse than Luminous Cove's color scheme. Again, we'll get back to that one later. And beautiful aesthetics. Great climb to the Echo, just the better the wall. Those are fighting words, but I'd probably agree with you there. More on the region as a whole later, of course, but this was its only sub-region that got any votes. The Grinder, whose only commenter wrote, Skug Meat Grinder. Very interesting to see a region whose whole premise is a video game factory level but it's Rain World, a game that, notably, does not tend to have moving parts like this. Definitely seems like a challenging one, but I dig the hell out of it, even if I'd probably hate playing it. And lastly, The River, another self-out from the mod creator, and also someone else too. You've got at least one fan. Can't find much footage of this one, but 1, it does look quite pretty, and 2, a Watcher exclusive modded region is a rarity. Very interesting. On to the regions that received 3 votes, starting with the very first region in the entire list alphabetically, 12th Council Pillar, the House of Braids from Metropolis. Yeah, this one's a pretty big deal to only be receiving a handful of votes, honestly, but subregions generally didn't do so well in this poll considering you could just, you know, vote the region instead. The comments I got pretty much summed this one up perfectly. As a climax to Artifactor's campaign and the atmosphere that it brings upon you knowing that this is the end game, everything the campaign has been building to, culminating in this subregion. And I really liked fighting through this region as Artificer. It's a good way to vent so much frustration and anger after a bad day. Healthy coping mechanisms, we love to see it. Anyways, next up is Atop the Tallest Tower, also from Metropolis. Definitely one of the highlights of Artificer's campaign for me. So good that they just did it again like 3 more times in the Watcher, and it ruled every time there too. From the comments, one of the most climactic places and parkour challenges in the game, even if there's not much regular gameplay. Pretty much nailed it, though I'd be remiss not to read this other comment, Communications Array versus the cooler Communications Array, which amuses me so, given that Communications Array outperformed this one. Oops. Next we have Depths from, A Lesson in Clarity. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's 2 completely distinct subregions in Rainworld called the Depths, and I left a subregion text box on the forum specifically to help clarify cases like this, but a plurality of voters checked the not a subregion box on this one, meaning I have no real way of categorizing these votes. 2 of them didn't even leave comments, and the third isn't descriptive enough for me to feel comfortable moving it either ways. So yeah, either Depths might have a few less votes than it should have, but hey, that's not on me. This didn't happen with any other similarly named subregions. Okay, back on track. Facility Roots parentheses Western Intake from Outer Expanse. Like, come on, man. I can't believe we let the Downpour team get away with this one. Turning the intro cutscene into a playable cutscene? Peak. Absolute wah wah wah. Comments pretty much fall in line with that. Best callback ever, yo! Finally getting to Outer Expanse and heading towards Journey's End, only to find where Survivor and Monk first fell, it did make me a bit emotional. And this small subregion has incredible vibes with great nostalgic feelings. I just think it's really cool that this exists in-game, honestly. It makes the world feel more like, you know, a world. On the flip side, we've got Station Annex from Cold Storage, which kind of makes it feel like the world's ending. Or rotting. Big day for purple enjoyers too. Consider purple. I like purple too, smiley face, and I love the rat horror. Shortening this last comment because it was quite long, but cutting to the core of it, it's so atmospheric, and there's something really unsettling about seeing naturally occurring rot in a normal region. There's nothing else like it, and it's never really explained, and I find that fascinating. Definitely one of the watch regions that leaves the strongest first impression for my money. Speaking of rot-infested machinery, or well, the husk of such, the husk from Solid Construct. Husk smash! Grr! Despite my relatively low placement of it back in my original region ranking, I don't really mind the subregion that much, and having come back to it in future playthroughs, it's kind of just taking on the same role Abstract Convergence Manifold does in Looks to the Moon. The legally distinct left half of the region that kind of blends together with the self-titled right half. Only one comment here, so it feels way more barren than the rest of Silent Construct, and I like to think of it as a mountain. There is a pretty nice sense of verticality to it, yeah, especially those outdoors rooms. And last and yet again least, look, the Precipice is a pretty neat subregion in Waterfront Facility. I don't understand why you'd vote for the Shoreline version over it though, but I'll try to understand. What does the lone comment I got for this say? Precipice is really fun, and I love the adrenaline spike when doing the huge leaps, but the 5 karma gate at the top pisses me off so much, not gonna lie. Oh, so you meant to vote for the Waterfront Facility one too. I'm just gonna assume that's true of all the Shoreline Precipice voters and move on. We'll come back to the real Precipice later. Okay, modded regions that received 3 votes, starting with, oh hey, Chasing Wind. Yeah, I do think it's really cool to see an iterated region that has completely different vibes from the official ones. We already talked about its exterior, but the interior looks very different too. Yellow as far as the eye can see, and some really fun looking water segments too. Kinda wish I had the time to check this one out for myself, but alas. One of the comments illuminates that this is by the same dev as Far Shore, so that might explain why it looks so cool. Consecrated Steppe, the one real region that the voter who also voted for 4 fake regions had in their ballot. I dig the really striking gray and orange palette of the main area of this region. That kind of monochrome +1 aesthetic is always a win in my book. Subregions have some pretty neat looks to them too. Another I'd play if I had the time. From the comments, adore the colors in both versions. The whole region looks like I could take a bite out of it and it would be soft, sweet, puffy, and melt in my mouth. Is that what Taste of Rain World 3 is going to be about? Literally eating the regions themselves? Willy Wonka would be proud. Deserted Wastelands, a massive region that connects Looks to the Moon and 5 Pebbles directly with a ton of environmental shifts along the way. Main chunk is definitely giving the same deserty vibes as Badlands, which I'm never averse to seeing more of, and it's got evil water sections, so you know I'm a fan. One voter shared their experience. Very linear and very difficult, and while it was confusing to navigate, that made it memorable. Would not journey through it again though. Sometimes being memorable is more important than being flawless, I'd wager. I feel that way about Rainworld as a whole sometimes. Necropolis, which as far as I can tell is basically just what if Death's, the subterranean one, was an entire region. No, not in the Rubicon way either. Which, yeah, I think there's something to having a real proper region in this aesthetic, because it's really cool and it's a shame you only get to see it past points of no return in the main game. I'm just gonna read off one really well articulated comment here. It is just so different from all other base game and most modded regions. Usually either mechanical architecture retaken by nature, or full-on nature. Necropolis though feels so alien in the sense that it consists of depths-like architecture with mostly brickwork structures, the torchlight, yellow glyphs running across the walls, and seemingly purposefully placed pits of worm grass in its repeated ancient structures. Pretty much what makes the depths feel so surreal, just in full region form. Yeah, cool stuff. Overgrowth, which, I'm gonna be real with y'all, I'm pretty sure most, if not all of the votes for this region were meant to be for Undergrowth instead, but because I can find a custom region named Overgrowth on the workshop, I have to count them for that one instead, even if said region is apparently unfinished and has very little documentation outside of his workshop page. Does look like a really cool Outer Expanse type deal though. But yeah, all 3 voters didn't vote for any other modded regions, and at least one of them brought up the Undergrowth Echo specifically, which maybe I should move that vote, but I gotta stick to what was written on the forum just to stay consistent, sorry. And rounding out this set, Undersea, another one I've played, and spoilers, I love this one. Whoa, no way, the Swimming Sickle loves the water-themed region, yeah, go figure. I think if I hadn't put Far Shore down as my one modded region representative, I'd probably have given the vote to this one instead. Not only do I love the gloomy vibes, but the whole underwater city area in particular is just such a cool idea, so beautiful. One commenter simply wrote blue, which so true, dabba-dee dabba-die. The other had a bit more to say. Quite fun to explore as you dive deeper into the dark and eerie ocean of the Undersea. What awaits at the bottom? A Hollow Knight reference? I don't quite understand the Hollow Knight bit, but I will take this time to point out this vote I got that just wrote Silksong 5 times, which I had to disqualify for cheating. Alright, that brings us to the regions that received 4 votes, and here's where the list starts getting shorter. We're getting closer to the regions that racked up the big votes, y'all. Bear with me. And let's start out with, oh hey, cold storage. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised this got even as many votes as it did. I've pretty well understood it to be one of the least popular regions in The Watcher, and the votes back this up since as far as proper regions go, only the Surface and Sail Nation did worse than it. And I also totally understand why that's the case, even if I'm a bit more neutral on it myself. Purple aside, it is kinda just more either ridge. One of our 2 comments for the region just wrote, not deserving of hate, and like, yeah, I definitely don't hate it. The other does a better job of defending it anyways. Probably the region with my favorite level design. Like a reverse wall, it gets more and more surreal the further down you go. Which, like, yeah, I do like how it's a region where you have to fight downwards. That's pretty unusual given, you know, gravity exists, and the journey down is still plenty challenging despite that. Sticking with Watcher regions, next up is Shattered Terrace, and yeah, I get it. I'm not thrilled that 4 of the 7 Aether Ridge regions are our bottom 4 Watcher regions overall, but I'm not surprised either. It's this weird little hub that only works as a hub the second time you visit it, and until you have enough ripple to get to the right side of the region, it's really tiny. I could sum up the region's main appeal by just quoting one of our commenters. Beautiful scenery and threat music. And yeah, don't think I commented on my original region ranking video, but the weird 5/8 threat theme definitely stands out from the crowd. Don't look forward to a watching music ranking, by the way. I have no plans to make that one, sorry. And one more insightful commenter wrote, aside from being absolutely gorgeous, I think it poses a very nice contrast to Outer Rim in the way they can be interpreted in relation to each other in the lore of Watcher. The 2 are basically diametrically opposed, yeah. You can only get to Outer Rim through a bad warp, and the intended way to get to the main chunk of Shattered Terrace is through Daemon. I definitely prefer the other, and y'all did too, unsurprisingly, but I still think Shattered Terrace is pretty neat for what it is. Up next, we've got our first exterior subregion in the lake, and yeah, not surprised it's got the least love, even if it's my personal favorite. It's the game's first real proper platforming-focused subregion, and it's a notable difficulty spike if you've been following the intended path up till now. Plus, grapple worms are just really fun, and encountering your first DLL is a moment you'll never forget. 2 voters in particular showed love for the region's iconic theme song, White Lizard. Climbing up the leg and hearing White Lizard play for the first time is genuinely unmatched. One of my favorite songs for the vanilla soundtrack. It's so good. And the music cue when White Lizard starts playing at the bottom is amazing, and the subregion has really unique and fun gameplay. We love the leg pit. I also love the leg hole. One of the best parts of watching a blind playthrough is seeing if a newly minted memory crypt survivor falls in their first time there. One of the most evil pieces of level design in all of gaming, if you ask me. And our last comment, I might be a bit basic for this. I hate the gameplay, but the vibes the leg gives off is just something I completely adore. Yeah, hard to overstate how radically different the vibes of the leg are compared to everything before it. We're not in Outskirts anymore, Toto. Last in this set, told y'all it was pretty small, we've got, oh hey, the better vents from Submerged Superstructure. Another where I feel like most people who would have voted this just voted the entire region, myself included, obviously. But these flooded caves are a huge part of why I like the region as much as I do. They're the main part you have access to as any slugcat that can't platform or swim as good as Rivulet does, and they just have such a vibe to them, and fun swimming challenges, my beloved. From the comments, have always been a huge fan of Overgrown Ruins, especially if it meets technology. It's just so beautiful. It really is, my good friend. Going through these massive underwater caves is just so cool. Yeah, this guy gets it. And the media comment to round this out, this is a visually stunning subregion that takes full advantage of Rivulet's abilities, giving you plenty of space to swim and just enough danger to keep things exciting. I'm a big fan of the more organic looking regions introduced by Downpour, like Undergrowth and Outer Expanse, but this has got to be my favorite. Great gameplay, great design, just a great time all around. Pretty much all of this, yeah. Downpour's region design in particular veers more towards the beautiful than anything the base game had to offer, and you won't hear me complaining about it. Just 3 modded regions that got 4 votes, starting with Eroded Refinery. To me, this looks a lot like your standard base game factory region, but not like any one in particular. Some rooms look very industrial complex, some more chimney canopy, a few feel more like Watcher rooms. It's overall very brown though. I think if I'm playing this for myself, I'm probably missing what makes it so special though, so I'll hand it off to the comments. One of them. Oh. This region is just overall well-rounded and polished. Every aspect of it is really fun. I mean, I believe it. I don't have anything bad to say about this one. I'm just not familiar enough to say anything meaningful about it either. Sorry. Forsaken Station, we already briefly touched on this one back in the One Voters, but here's the full thing. Pretty much what it says on the tin. It's some kind of rail station that's got a bit of a wintry vibe to it. Presumably even more so in Saints variant. Does look very pretty at any rate, and quite diverse too of its various subregions, including that deep lake one that I'd probably love/hate. Yeah, I can see why folks folks' vibe of this one. From the comments, super underrated, amazing looking region. Amusingly, one of the higher rated modded regions in this poll, but all modded regions are underrated in the grand scheme of things. We also got a longer comment that started by dissing Deep Lake, but I'll skip to the meat of it. This region is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautifully crafted, and I am so excited for the region mods that are set to connect to it. Very fun platforming that is challenging without being overwhelming, and the room connections allow for a lot of path-making potential. Just a really stunning region I can and have willingly spent hours in. Pretty much aligns with what I'm seeing myself, yeah. Maybe I'll check this one out after the fact. And last in this set, Stormy Coast, the original mod. Yeah, I've already said my piece about how tragic it is that this one was broken up the way it was, but the original mod didn't have said problem. And it still had all the cool level design. The gloomy, rainy weather was a favorite of mine back when I first played it, and I wish its promotion to official region went better, but Interestingly enough, 3 of our commenters regaled the same experience of playing Stormy Coast in the Watcher and then checking out the full mod after, which I think is especially interesting. I'm just gonna take a few snippets rather than tell the same tale thrice. I still prefer the Watcher version though, even if it's shorter in length. I find it sad that it's shorter, but in my opinion, I think that helps it a lot to where you would get the motivation to download the mod region itself and play the whole entire map to your heart's content. I love the music. Good use of modded creatures in my opinion. So much to love here. And from our last voter, the storms are amazing, but I like it when it's crusty. Right, the region has a ton of weather variations too. That's also just super cool. What other game can do what Rainworld does, honestly? Our 5-vote regions are a batch of 4 sub-regions actually, and from all over the place. Starting with Communications Array from Sky Islands. I'll admit to being a little puzzled that this dinky little place got 5 whole votes, but then I read the comments and love Spearmaster. Spearmaster ending made me a changed man. Oh, it's Spearmaster gang. Yeah, that makes sense actually. I do think this is a neat little place with a fun little platforming gauntlet, and that top room is beautiful, especially when there's a rainbow. But until Spearmaster, it was kind of just a weird dead end with a pearl and an arena unlock. One last comment I want to read off. Amazing audio experience, and lovely to see workings of old tech. Actually a little curious what exactly the first part is referring to. Speaking systems maybe? But yeah, it's a subregion that has a very specific purpose we actually know, compared to the miscellaneous mystery tech scattered throughout most of the world. This is probably the most anyone has talked about Communications Array ever. We should probably move on to Cole, Scooby, I'm like scared. Depths from the Rot. Yeah, the most unfortunate development, or so we thought until the Watcher, and whoo boy is this a cool one, / neg. Yeah, Depths is just full-on horror game territory where everything's trying to kill you. The walls, the holes in the floor, the roaming blobs of cancer, the platforming, it's just relentless. And the place has so much atmosphere. As one commenter put it, it's just so sick. Okay, I'm gonna read some more serious comments now. Unlike most people, I love the Rot and all its variations, especially Proto Longlegs, and because of that, I learned how to use DevTool just to spread the Rot across all regions because I love the Rot. I haven't played the Watcher yet. Did the Prince vote in my poll? Yikes. But like, I do like the Rot a good bit more than OG 5 Pebbles myself, yeah. Anyways, there's these particular rooms within the Rot's depths where you really get to see just how much damage the Rot has done to Pebbles. You know, the one with the mother's long legs and the one with the incomprehensibly large void in the background. It's a tiny sub-region, but it's just so sick to traverse through. It's just so sick. Confirmed sickest region in Rainworld. You might be shocked at how big this tiny sub-region is though. Okay, returning to normalcy for a bit, kind of. Hydroponics from Industrial Complex. Industrial was the smallest base game region after Downpour released, so I guess it's only fitting that the Watcher came in clutch to expand the region of a new sub-area. And I think it's a neat little prologue to how familiar yet off many Watcher regions feel when compared to the base game and Downpour areas. Pretty trim comments on this one. Industrial with a cool tumor. Super neat intro to Watcher's campaign. It's such a simple sub-region that still feels unique. The colors are nice. Feels like everyone who voted this one just thought it was neat, but I'd be remiss not to single out our resident Oracle. Hello, the only other 3 people who remembered this sub-region exists. Close, 1 under, but you basically nailed it. 100% accurate 30% of the time. Don't have anything new to add about this one myself, so let's move on to the last in this set. Luna from Looks to the Moon. Funnily enough, kind of what I said about chasing wind and its subregions applies here too. It's neat to see an iterator superstructure that has completely different vibes. Something about Luna feels so much brighter and cozier than the WoW, and it's just so neat to see how different Moon City looks from Pebbles too. And I don't hate climbing this one either, so that's also a plus. First up from our comments, while it's only 5 rooms, 5 rooms, a shelter, and a gate, yeah, I really like the whole green vibes in City of Luna. It really seems unique and personally is one of my favorite Downpour subregions. Another, it has night, it has graffiti of the 5 primal urges, it has a cool name meaning moon, it evokes sadness for moon. And a short but sweet one, beautiful story parallels. I think that last one really sums it up perfectly, honestly. Luna is a region that mostly exists in relation to the wall to 5 Pebbles, and the contrast between the two is what you tend to remember the most about it. It's really neat at any rate. Alright, we've got just a few modded regions in the 5-vote tier, and you know what? I think that's as good a threshold as any for me to actually start checking out some of these for myself. So the first modded region y'all got me to play is Fog Gulch. I do think the premise for this one is pretty interesting. It's quite literally a gulch. Region's a big old hole. You go down one side and then up the other. Or into this max karma gate I found that I sure as hell wasn't getting through anytime soon. I was playing on a fresh file, so according to one of the comments, it's linked to the Void Sea. Makes sense. But yeah, like of Station Annex, I think fighting downwards is an interesting idea and inherently gives the region a pretty unique feel. I will say that it felt a bit samey after a while and that I was really starving for food sources and spears the whole time I was here. And it also kind of has the wall prop of really sparse shelter placement in a very linear region, but I'd still say I mostly enjoyed it. The new creatures are freaky too. Shout out those mossy vultures. Throwing it over to some comments, this region is host to my favorite threat theme ever and has an atmosphere that scratches my brain in a good way not much else has. Yeah, the music here is in general pretty cool. Has those same metallic thunks that remind me of a few Farmer Race tunes. Perilous platforming unique creatures plus items makes for a memorable region. I particularly like the design of the Baraka spider, being non-lethal except on edges. That what the peacock-looking spider is called? Those things are freaky too, yeah. It has everything you'd want in a region, a whole ecosystem. The region has its own fauna and flora, a unique end-of-cycle mechanic that perfectly fits the vibe and ecosystem of the region, and even an entire unique sub-region in the Hadal Depths. Never saw the end-of-cycle myself, nor the sub-region, but good to know. I do appreciate the modded region that adds its own creatures though, gives it that extra bit of personality. It's a neat region, even if I'm not sure I personally loved it. Up next, Preservatory. This one's a much more lore-heavy region by my estimation, like abandoned laboratory for genetically modified lizards and also the occasional monster kelp. Has some neat climbable vines, interesting traversal puzzles, and some cool atmosphere, though I again really think I could have used more than a single shelter at the very start of the region, even if it's not that large. The more interesting part of the region is the sub-region at the bottom, which has many more lizards and tanks and interesting swimming challenges related to them, I think. I'm not sure you can actually drown in these, but I wasn't taking any chances. And it leads to an alternate ending that's apparently different from most slugcats too, so that's neat, yeah. I think this place is neat. I didn't love playing it, admittedly, but the lore and environments are pretty cool. Comments tend to align with my assessment. Annoying to get through, but the atmosphere and endings were cool as hell, so it was 100% worth it. A modded endgame region I mostly like for the vibes. Adds a few new endings, and the ones I've seen are eerie. I need to know all about it. Most impactful time playing Rainworld as I got the base game and Downpour spoiled. Dang, that sucks. Careful of your spoilers, people. And one final longer comment, this region is canon to me. It has absolutely impeccable vibes, its concept intertwines very well with established lore, and then ultimately leads to an ending that has stuck with me. I adore regions that lead heavily into horror, and Preservatory is an outstanding example. It's a breathtaking region that has to be one of my top faves, if not my fave ever. Basically, yeah, the concept of this one is really cool. Poor Slugcat, though. Last up in the set, and the other region from the same mod as Fog Gulch, Steaming Edifice. Tied in votes despite only one person voting for them both. That's democracy, baby. While the other two modded regions in the set had a lot more personality visually, I think this one fares the best gameplay-wise. I really enjoy the verticality of the level design, and there's a good mix of cramped and open spaces that keep traversal interesting. It also has, exploding mosquitoes, so that's neat. And it has its own little level gimmick with these burners. It kind of reminds me of Thermal Relay, except that these are way more generous. I again had problems finding shelters here, though that may be due to weird placement, like this one off-screen one more than an outright lack of them, but One of this region's voters just, I kid you not, put an entire recipe for Swedish cardamom buns, in Swedish, into the comment field, and I do not get the joke, but I figured I'd bring it up. The others, this one's really fun to play. Visuals are great as well, and I love the path to Lunar Base, or whatever that region is called. This region looks amazing. The gameplay is pretty fun, and the music is great. So yeah, again, seems to align with my assessment of the region. Neat. Not much else to say. I think this one's pretty swell. We actually only had 2 regions get 6 votes, 1 official and 1 modded, and we'll start with the former, Journey's End from Outer Expanse, which I must reaffirm is the coziest place in the entire game, yeah. Not that it has a lot of competition, but there's just so many wonderful little things agglomerated in this distant corner of the region. The beautiful rugged terrain, the big tree overshadowed by the bigger iterator, the slug tree, and in Gourmand's ending, plentiful skugs along with it. It's just so nice. The comments generally keep up those good vibes. It makes me happy. Relieved to finish Gourmand campaign, but also, oh, slug cats, and maybe the only genuinely happy and not bittersweet area and associated endings in the entire game. Very pretty too. As well as one longer comment, I decided to do a survivor run where I start with 2 slug pups. I even went through Underhang and Pebbles, please don't do this. And finally reaching Journey's End with them was so special, just the best ending in the entire game. Basically, yeah, great subregion, great endings, great vibes all around. And the only modded region that gets 6 votes, Grey Urban. First off, definitely think this is my favorite I've played for this video so far. The whole thing has this gloomy megastructure vibe to it that I really like. One room made me say aloud, Slugcat, I don't think we should be here. And fittingly, the region's chock full of interesting platforming and traversal challenges. I really like scrambling my way through the various climbs dotted throughout the region. It's maybe not the most visually striking. It's, well, gray and urban. And I felt there was a lot of cases where something didn't look like a platform but was. The opposite problem plenty of other regions have. But I also didn't feel like the region lacked for food or shelter. Felt really well balanced overall. Definitely glad I played it. Cherry picking the comment that I agree with most. Maybe my favorite region vibe-wise. Very desolate and lonely feeling place. Makes me feel like a little rat hopping across Rainworld's modder's idea of Kowloon. That's a good pull, yeah. Another comment along those same lines. When first entering Grey Urban from Necropolis, the feeling of grandness is awe-inspiring. Overall, the sense of loneliness and melancholy carried this region, along with consistently great room design, platforming, and backgrounds. Basically, yeah, there's something to the scale of this place that gives it so much atmosphere. And apparently there's an alternate version too. The near pitch black version of this region, Rivulet/Seer used to get, was so atmospheric. Always cool when modders go the extra mile with their regions and give them variants. That's replay value, baby. Moving on to our 7-vote squad, we've actually got a larger group of 4 similarly gloomy subregions. First up, the last Outer Expanse subregion, Sunken Pier. Not shocked this did the best of the 3 because it's certainly the most unique, and man, I love this place. The dark and dismal vibes, the clearly purposed structures, the way it serves as a great transition away from Five Pebbles facility into the more rugged wilderness of the rest of the region, it's just so good. And yeah, generally people just seem to love the vibes. That word came up a lot. I love Outer Expanse as a whole, but I feel that Sunken Pier is totally unlike anywhere else in the game, and I totally love the nocturnal vibes. Best vibes in the game to me. I love how dark and wet it is. It's just such a vibe and it reminds me of my hometown. And so underrated. The best region looks wise while also having a fun layout to go through and decent spawns. Post-Rivulet removing the area is a crime. Yeah, I kinda wish more slugs got to go here, but I get it, even if I don't like it. Also from the comments, MSC team was holding back so much making Sunken Pier small, the threat theme slaps there. Yeah, it has its own variant of the threat theme that's probably the best version of the Outer Expanse threat theme, honestly. I think it's perfectly sized for what it needs to be though, but I wouldn't mind if it was bigger. Next up, the Gutter from Chimney Canopy. I've definitely softened on this one a little since my original region ranking. Not that I particularly like it these days or ever willingly go here, but it does have an atmosphere unlike anywhere else in Rainworld, and it has a music track in Cracked Earth that I especially love, so that one of a few extra points. Still do think we could have lived without the swimming nerf though. 2 comments I want to read in tandem. First, it's like if drainage system got a second less drainier system, smiley face. The gutter is too unappreciated. I really like how it looks. And then, on my first Survivor playthrough, I went through the gutter as one of my first regions. It was a brutal experience of climbing through multiple hidden paths and spear climbing up walls to scrape my way up a path that felt like climbing a slide backwards. It took me 40 minutes to figure out how to leave the first room. A wonderful experience that I wouldn't have had any other way. Yeah, I'm just amused that we both got a drainage comparison and someone having the drainage system experience but in a different region. We've also got comments finding about how fun it is to play. The gutter has a fun, sweet mechanic with the viscous fluid hampering your movements. I generally just like the atmosphere of it. Played it once and have greatly enjoyed it ever since. Versus uncomfortable to play but so vibey and layout is sick. Also, chimney to drainage connection is always interesting. I'll again leave you two to fight it out in the comments. And lastly, threat layers are top notch. Again, another subregion of a really cool threat theme variant. Always love to see that. Okay, I know Torrential Railways isn't technically a subregion, but like, come on. No region has ever been more subregion coded than this one, except maybe the original Sunlit port. Torrential is essentially one continuous space, one big structure in a way that nowhere else in Rainworld quite feels like. It is certainly unique for it. Plus the rain is just so nice. I wish it had just a little bit more bite to it is all. I wish it was just part of Stormy Coast, alas. Comments on this one are pretty chill. Has rain, it's in the name of the game. So true. Amazing ambience, lots of tasty glowing plants, very sleepable, and I love slime mold. I love the rain and lightning. Could stay here forever. It's a fun little region to pass through. It's small and it doesn't have much going on, but I like that. And was my first ever Watcher region. Plus, it's pretty neat with how small but diverse it is. I do think it's an interesting pick from one of the Watcher's 3 starting regions at any rate. Instantly sets itself apart from the base game and Downpour regions and instills that uneasy alien feeling in you that the Watcher is so good at. And last up in this set, I feel like this is in voter territory somehow, but unfortunately the development from 5 Pebbles got a whopping 7 votes. That's actually less than I expected, honestly. This place is a contrarian's goldmine because it so obviously sucks, but like in a good way. A region whose difficulty directly intertwines with its lore significance, showing just how dangerous the ride is and how destructive it can be. 2 camps of voters here, atmosphere enjoyers, i.e., I really like the vibe, the ride makes it look really cool, great at causing discomfort, and a vote from the Prince, I love the ride and I'll never get tired of it, and those commenting on its difficulty, and also its atmosphere too, but shush. The swaps between gravity and zero gravity make this really hard to traverse. Also, the atmosphere is great, and it's an infamously unpleasant area to navigate for most players, but to me it contains some of my favorite ambience in the entire game. The way the hums expand and contract almost as if the puppet inside this massive biomechanical superstructure is struggling to keep itself stable at just all makes it fascinating to me. It's undeniably really cool, even for how like that it is. Again, I've always been more neutral on this region than most. I'm pleased to see it get some genuine love. Just one modded region in the 7-vote squad, Hanging Gardens, which I somehow feel like has a reputation preceding it, even if I've never checked that before this video. Heck, one commenter agreed, such an all-time classic. And yeah, it's quite neat. Quite a lot going on with this one too. The lower sections of the region honestly have a very vanilla feel to them in terms of their design and even their aesthetic. The feeling that I'm just exploring a part of Rainworld that I hadn't seen yet, rather than the generally more out there feel of most modded regions. And hey, another comment that lines with my thoughts. It feels a lot like a region that could be in the base game, but then you go up to the top half and suddenly you've got some diabolical platforming with wind and these kind of jank vines that don't quite work right, but it's fine, I guess. I'm a bit annoyed at the very highest room needs a spear or a squid cadet for one jump when nothing else up to that point really did, but whatever, it's a cool little climb. The tools are all there, it's fine. And of course, the region is just beautiful, apropos for a garden type area. Very lush and green, the overgrown machinery look is in full force here and I'm absolutely here for it. I don't know, it's just so pleasant. I enjoyed my time here for sure. The other two comments I got both praised the threat theme, which yeah, pretty cool one, but I want to read off the rest of this longer comment I got too. A greenhouse-like region done right, with a more matte palette and infrastructure complementing the base game's style. Climbing to the apex of the region is challenging, with new enemies and creative platforming challenges, but the serene view at the top is a perfect reward. Yeah, kinda had to stop and enjoy the view at the very top of the region myself. It's very lovely. Similar vibes to the communications array viewpoint, honestly. Definitely understand why this region's so popular. And our 8-vote regions are another official modded pair, starting with the Precipice from Waterfront Facility. It did have 11 votes in a perfect world, given the 3 who voted for the Shoreline variant, which would have put it in the top 50. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to that, by the by. But alas, here it is, stuck just below double digits. Anyways, the Precipice is just such a neat region conceptually. It's, you know, the bridge between 5 pebbles and looks to the moon that the ancients used to travel between the two. Now in disrepair, of course, and fully collapsed by the time of Survivor and co, making for a pretty tricky platforming region that's perfectly suited to Artificer's moveset, and maybe a bit less suited to Spearmasters, but it's fine. I don't have a ton to add about it from my original region ranking, so I'll just throw things over to the comments, and everyone who voted for this one left a comment, so apologies in advance if I don't get to yours. Not that I've read every comment so far, but like, here's where I'm gonna have to start getting really picky. Something about the bridge connecting to both the iterators in a metaphorical sense makes me sad when the bridge eventually cuts off in the timeline. A straight shot from Moon to Pebbles is always welcome, especially in the Spearmaster's campaign. Well-made verticality and pole movement focused subregion, plus I really like trusted component. This subregion is just if Chimney Canopy was more fun and cooler. Oh, those are some fighting words, especially given how much better Chimney Canopy did here, spoilers, but preferences. And there was also a crazy long comment that I'm just going to pull a few snippets I really liked from. My first encounter with it was taking a wrong turn as I was climbing the Lego Gourmands campaign and being really confused by it. What is this place? Why does it have just 4 rooms and goes nowhere? Until it hit me. This is the bridge. It goes nowhere because it's collapsed. I really like the way the karma gates on either side of it are set up, because the requirements make it so that it's really easy to get across from Moon to Pebbles, but really hard the other way. You, Spearmaster the Messenger, have a really hard time getting from Pebbles to Moon, across the literal bridge that connects them. Communication in that direction is unnecessarily difficult, huh? Considering that the bridge was primarily constructed to allow the ancients to migrate from Moon to Pebbles, I can imagine they wouldn't care so much about going back the other way, yeah. Interesting stuff to think about at any rate. And our model region for this pair is Moss Fields, which, yeah, I only needed a quick look to understand why this region is as popular as it is. It's kind of just beautiful and pink. Very, very pink. But yeah, no, this kind of naturally gorgeous region is just inherently appealing, and it's for the most part pretty chill to go through too. It's got mothies, 10 out of 10. And these silly little lizards who don't even seem to hunt Slugcat, obligate friends. Lots of noodleflies too. It's also got that classic 2, sometimes 3-lane style of map design that I enjoy so much. A bit of a pick your poison between the more dangerous platforming heavy upper areas or the safer but more creature dense lower areas. Zero guesses as to which one I picked first. But it's got some really interesting geometry besides, some nice spaces that look like things type design, and the whole thing is just excessively pleasant start to finish. Really enjoyed my time here. You will not be surprised to learn that I got a plurality of commenters who simply wrote pink. I also got some meteor ones too though. Oh, I love this region so much. The chills I got when I first entered, gah! Yeah, I can concur there. Again, did not take very long to get it with this one. Surrounded by other wonderful regions, Moss Fields serves as a location that feels like home. The pink foliage, which is not seen anywhere else, matches so well with the broken down gray benefactor ruins. Several paths to the region are available with different gameplay features so that you can always choose a route that's fun for you. Man, this is basically just everything I said verbatim. I promise I'm writing my own thoughts first before looking at the comments for these. As a non-carnivorous slugcat, having to hunt and avoid needleflies is very fun. It's also a pretty region with good sound design. Oh yeah, the music is wonderful especially. And I did at first think that needleflies were the only food source, but there's a unique one in the region that gives a whopping 1.5 pips, and that kept my scug pretty well satiated. appreciated. Pro tip. One last more straightforward comment. Very striking and pretty region. Yeah, that's the main draw of this one in my opinion. Fun to play, sure, but just looking at it, existing in it is its real draw. The only regions to get 9 votes were 2 watcher regions, so first up, Fractured Gateways. This is the kind of region that strikes me as really love it or hate it. It's pretty much doing one thing, and it does that thing quite well if you ask me, but if you don't like that thing, then there's not much here for you. I just think it's a super nifty combination of 2 mechanics that makes for an interesting, more linear gauntlet than Rain World usually has. Very, very video gamey region, this one. Some voters just like the vibes. This region not getting any music honestly adds so much to its atmosphere. Excellent vibes, although the gameplay leaves something to be desired. Others like the creatures. Locust Whale bias. I love Locust and the exhilarating challenge they provide both here and in Badlands. They really bring out emotions that I'm looking for in Rain World, similar to passing Drainage for the first time. I also love the flying whales, especially the gargantuan one. One commenter loves the alternate region thing as much as I do. Once I realized it was actually some future verdant waterways, like, oh my gosh, this is so peak. I don't know, girl. And one commenter just really likes the gameplay. I really enjoy the creative gimmick of this region, and the long stretches where you have to keep up with the whale felt so new and exciting. If you died to the Locust, the punishment isn't high since you don't have to travel very far. The section at the end felt indescribably intense and was the perfect thing to save for last. There's a lot to like here, even if it's not the most replayable region, I suppose. Who cares? Also getting 9 votes, one shy of maximum karma, it's the Throne from Outer Rim. Sorry, Prince, no ascending for you today. Another region that's also kind of a linear gauntlet, albeit much more visually striking and much less dangerous ultimately, which is funny to say about a region that's like 90% rot, but the Prince is a pretty cool guy, and the area serves as a neat little hub for when you're going around affecting other regions with rot. Tis spooky yet cozy in its own way. Most of the commenters are, the Prince's fan club. I love all of the Watcher's characters, and the build-up to the Prince's appearance is so terrifyingly cool. I like the Prince in Turbo Cancer. I love the Prince in the Rot. I am the #1 Prince fan. Prince, 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 Prince. Yeah, Purple Rain is a classic. That's what we're talking about, right? And one longer comment also about the Prince, but I digress. Unfortunately, I'd already been spoiled on the Prince before meeting him, but all I had seen was that he was called Rot Prince and that he was in this place. So when I did all I needed to meet him, I was expecting some cold, irrational evil or whatever being that desired to devour everything. After all, the Rot is the most destructive thing I know of in Rain World, but then I met him and it turns out that he's the nicest character in the game, even nicer than Moon, I dare say. This made me rethink the nature of the Rat, and having the supposed avatar of the sentient decay that was consuming everything be such a nice and hospitable being made him my favorite character. I mean, I personally always got a sense that the Prince wants something out of you, is being manipulative rather than genuinely nice, and also wants to consume you, but like, interpretations, I suppose. No modded region has got 9 votes. Don't worry, we're not quite done with them yet. So let's move on to our 10 vote regions, both of which have quite a lot in common actually. Starting with Filtration System for Subterranean, another I'm honestly shocked did as well as it did, though I'm not personally complaining. I love this place in spite of everything. The dark, ridiculous hell maze that serves as your final challenge before the end, at least in vanilla Rain World, and the fact that they expanded it in Downpour, honestly that just makes it funnier. Shocked that Wallet's Basement didn't get at least 1 meme vote in the survey though. Lots of fun comments on this one, I'm just gonna roll through a few. I loved how terrifying this area was when I first went, and I feel it really fit the vibe for the last zone for the beast endings. Love the vibes of the area, but the feeling of being close to the end is the main reason I like this region. The sudden shift to the red lighting and the stealthy maze leading up to the depths is really cool. Also just a cool bit of lore about the anxious usage of void fluid. Has strong vibes. The black lizards give an excellent opportunity to learn how some creatures have different senses than others. Stealthily sneaking past black lizards, plus when I was finishing the game as monk, they were scarce following me. I had gotten the chieftain passage a few cycles ago, which made it more hype. Key point in any first playthrough, I love very much smiley face. I love mazes! Pretty much, yeah, lots of cool experiences coming out of this freaky little place, huh? It's such an interesting way to end the gameplay portion of Rain World. And the other official region that received 10 votes, another maze of pipes, Turbulent Pump. Yeah, go figure, the water maze and the dark maze got the same amount of votes, and I'm the kind of sicko who loves them both. Best track in the Watcher's OOC aside, I just appreciate how mechanically interesting this region is, and how many different places it loops back in on itself while being fairly compact overall. Plus, the vibes are simply immaculate, I do not know what else to tell you. Swimming! Who up in the comments being a swimming sicko with me? I am an enjoyer of the water puzzles. We all love swimming, right? How about rooms that have water on some places but also have air in others instead of being half submerged? Looks lovely, has fun layout, and is enjoyable to explore. Regarding atmosphere, it's like a younger sibling of Desolate Tract but with water. Also, a few commenters appreciating the music here too. The threat theme is so good, so good! My god, the threat theme, my god, the threat theme! This region style is so sick! And I love how the 1.5 update added only an extra room or two, but still completely changed how the region feels aesthetically just with a singular outside room. And it made the region so much more enjoyable to play through with the freedom to go from end to end at will. And ending off of a longer comment that I quite liked. I know this might be a bit unconventional for a favorite region, but I really like the vibe. I think that Passerby genuinely does like half the work here, but it strengthens my feelings of this being a kind of warm, relaxing pool that makes me really like this region. The fairly low amount of not hard enemies reinforces the feeling of this region being a peaceful place of relaxation together with the pleasant water sections and puzzles. Additionally, I think this region actually mostly benefits from the presence of barnacle crabs as they make it feel more alive, both with their movement as well as their contribution to the ambience with their weird what sounds to be blowing of steam from me. I don't know, it just makes it feel even more like a warm, relaxing pool complex. I'd personally go to the Turbulent Pump pool party were someone to be hosting one, yeah. Glad to see this place has fans and currents. Okay, here we are. The top 2 modded regions according to y'all's votes. Both of them technically made top 50 too. There's not a clean cutoff or anything, but like tied for 49th place or so. And I've foreshadowed both of these, so y'all who've been paying attention probably know which 2 they are. First up, The Mast, which I had played before, but I still gave it a replay just to get a refresher and also footage. Considering that as we've gone higher in votes, I felt that the general quality of the modded regions has only been getting better. It's a little unfortunate that we're ending things off of a wet fart, because I still do not like this region, sorry. Maybe because it's just, you know, more The Wall, a region I famously am not wild for to begin with, but this is also like the original wind platforming region, and dear god, I don't get what's fun about this. I could tolerate most of the Wind of the Watcher, but here, no, it's just intrusive and poorly designed. A few spots where you do the right thing and Slugcat doesn't grab the pole anyways, it's just, ugh. The region's also massive, with not nearly enough shelters for its size, and it doesn't really offer me much that I couldn't have gotten from just playing base game Rain World. The only other sub-region of note is a Wormgrass area. Yippee, my favorite. I know this one's like way old, a quote-unquote classic modded region, but I struggle to find kind words for it, unfortunately. But that's where the comments come in to save me, because at least they like this one. It's like The Wall, but much bigger and expanded it into an entire region. Also has some cool broadcast dialogue and Spear Masters campaign, and a completely unique layout in Saints. The Echo dialogue is also very good and kinda funny. Just a peak custom region in general. Having the main centerpiece of the region be the giant mast makes for a good quest for the region. Climb the mast! Also incredible how this region has a Saints variant. I don't get why modders put themselves through designing that. An incredible region with a unique ending for Spearmaster, an incredibly scary state for the Saint, and simply awesome music, including my favorite drifting polymers, and of course the adorable hoverfly. Multiple comments about the Saint variant, interestingly, which we saw all the way back in the one voters. As for the rest of the comments, they follow a theme. Gave me a fear of heights. Music made me weep with reverent awe. Incredible music. Good level design. It has such good music, plus a very cool alt ending location for Spearmaster. I will admit, I probably haven't heard all of said music, but what I did hear was nice, yeah. Shocked that that's what got this so many votes, apparently. Again, I don't hate this region or anything. It's fine, but it is just not for me. Blech. On the other hand, and I'm doing these out of order because I wanted to end on a high note, Luminous Cove. Would you believe that the dank, gloomy, utterly beautiful water region is one that I also enjoyed a lot? Shock of all shockers, yeah. This is by far one of the most visually striking regions I've ever seen, and I absolutely adore it. Even if it made me go grab a brain cell to get Neuron Glow, because yeah, kinda need that in more than a few spots here, it turns out. The darkness helps accentuate the bioluminescence of the flora and fauna, and the shimmer of the waterline is just such a good touch. And it's just a really satisfying region to explore, too. Nice and maze-like with lots of small platforming challenges, a really fun swimming section. Ooh, dark and flooded tunnels, my favorite. And fairly balanced and even fairly chill creatures to boot. I did not particularly struggle here in any regards, food, shelter, or survival. And after some of the rough ones y'all made me play, I'm not about to complain about it. But it's really just the raw atmosphere that does most of the heavy lifting. Especially as thunder and flashes of green lightning become more prevalent the closer you get to chasing wind, with one hell of a final run up to the region gate at the end that, yeah, definitely did something to me. Really cool region all around. Really, all of the Sunlit Trail regions I'm playing for the first time have been good stuff. Most of the comments here are more throwing praise towards the visuals than anything, which, yeah, I get. Shimmery water and glowy moss that I eat. The aesthetics are just fantastic. By far my favorite looking region in all of Rain World, both modded and not. I also quite like the swimming sections with the marine eyes. The region's atmosphere is just perfect. The spawns are well balanced and fun to deal with, and also fitting for the region. It handles the transition between derelict rigs and main really well, and the threat theme is the best ever. The visuals, it's so bright, I love it so much. And one about the gameplay, just has the best classic creature-focused Rain World gameplay of any region I've played. Basically, a lot of folks calling it their favorite in a lot of aspects, and yeah, this is probably one I'm gonna have to come back to myself. Really, I owe it to myself to just do a proper playthrough of Sunlit Trail instead of doing them all out of order like this. I don't know if this top's far short for me, give me a bit more time with it, but it's damn close and very fitting for a joint winner of Best Modded Region region, yeah. And I usually don't do this, but since this is the most for the people vid I've done in a while, if y'all are enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like and maybe even a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more occasional Rainworld videos, as well as me yapping about music I like, since I do that a lot too. Anyways, shilling over, back to Rainworld regions. Alright, everything left now is official Rainworld content, in a sense, though, kind of, given some of the Watcher regions were originally mods. And on that note, skipping a few numbers and presenting our very first region to get a unique number of votes. At 13 votes, we have Aether Ridge, which I must reaffirm got completely screwed by the way it was handled at the Watcher. I understand the intent in quote-unquote canonizing some of the most popular modded regions, but the problem with Aether Ridge is that, like, it was already kind of its own little campaign. It was designed to have lots of different subsections you can weave in and out of, and as a result, isolating those subsections into their own disparate experiences really harms all of them, but it harms the main Aether Ridge region the most. Cause, like, fundamentally, there's not a lot wrong with it, and I dare say I even quite like the entire upper half of the region. It's the sameness and general lack of personality that Ridrix has that really drags the whole thing down for me. Blast Deck and Aerial Tramway are both pretty cool places, and I'm not saying that just because they have big, fluffy, adorable mothies in them, though that helps. It's just the fact that there's so much of it, combined with there being so much other Aether Ridge in the Watcher, that hurts what should have been this really cool hub region the most. Hell, a few commenters said as much. I think this region doesn't deserve the hate. It's the only fairly large region in the Watcher, and I think that makes it feel way more home-like and sort of like a hub area for the game. I like the aesthetic and the creatures here, and generally almost all the rooms are good. Really solid region. Listen, I just think it's neat. Yes, I get it's big, unnecessarily big, and basically all portals lead back to this region, but I really like it. I really like the aesthetic and the silly mouse. That's all I can say. I'm biased for this region, and I understand all the hate it gets, but I still love it. As well as someone who was ahead of the curve, unironically my second favorite Watcher region. Fave modded region before the DLC's release. Again, I imagine this place popped off as a mod. Shame I'd never played it. And a few commenters who just like the, aesthetics. I like the vibes of the region, and also Big Moth. It is a beautiful region, there's no denying that. Really, pretty much every region in the Watcher looks fantastic. Everyone is so good at making Rainworld regions these days. Moving on to another previously modded, now official region, with 14 votes, it's Shrouded Stacks. Formerly known as Stormy Coast, also formerly known as Shrouded Coast. I kinda get why they changed the name so that there weren't two coasts in the same expansion, yeah. Shame the moths didn't get out of these regions much more than a dozen votes, but alas. The one thing I really appreciate about Shrouded Stacks is how, like, geometrically perfect this layout is. It's got 5 portals, one at the north, one at the south, one at the east, one at the west, and one dead center. It's like poetry. Makes the region one of the easiest to map out in all of Rainworld, and being navigable is one of the things that makes the region easier to like, especially on revisit. Like, yeah, it's got its own unique vibes. It's got my boy, the one red lizard in all of the Watcher's regions. It's got big moths. All of those are cool, but I just like this place as a pretty chill and easy to traverse transit point between other regions. It's pleasant. I'm just gonna read out a bunch of comments that sound like crazy people screaming because for some reason there's a lot of them here. Colorful shipping containers and moths, smiley face. Take me to the infinite shipping crate dimension. Mawson, amazing fog and the cute moth grubs. It's amazing. I like fog. Big moth, my beloved. I tamed the red lizard and we're destroying everything that moves. Okay, that's metal as heck. And a few more hinged comments. Interesting map design of traveling between stacks of shipping crates. The vibes are also peak. Just amazing atmosphere and music all around. Who doesn't love those moths? And of course, Ponder plays here. And an unfortunate, or maybe a fortunate, victim of the now patched, I believe, creature despawn glitch. The first time I came across Shrouded Stacks, my game glitched, which resulted in absolutely no spawns in the whole region. I thought that was so eerie and created this special memory tied to this region. Honestly, yeah, for as obviously a glitch as it was, there was something unsettling about the creature despawn glitch, especially when it happens in an already kinda eerie place like, you know, infested wastes, not speaking from experience there or anything. I also had it happen in the service one time, which was nice, actually. Okay, last solo entry for a bit. At 15 votes, it's Memory Crypts from Shaded Citadel. I'm honestly a little surprised, though not disappointed, that this made it up as high as it did, but as the first, like, event subregion of the game, a template for tons of other regions and subregions that followed it, Memory Crypts definitely feels some kind of special, yeah. No less because Marrow Spurs are and will forever be terrifying, especially in a setting as unsetting as sunmetal. You know what? We know what I mean as this. It's scary is what I'm trying to say. And I personally find Rivulet's version of the region to be the most compelling. It's the kind of environmental storytelling and region recontextualization that Downpour does so amazingly, something that few games even get the chance to do. That we got Downpour at all is kind of a miracle, I think. I wouldn't be here making this video if we didn't, so thank God for miracles. A comment that I think is particularly interesting, no shade man, it's when I realized I liked Rainworld in my first playthrough. Hell yeah, again, there's just something different about Memory Crypts compared to everything that comes before it, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of comments about the vibes and the horror, and I could read those out, but instead, well, one commenter had a story, and I respect it enough that I'm just gonna read it all out here, video length be damned. Imagine this. You are having fun in your playthrough, then you stumble your way into Shaded Citadel. Hours, days spent wasting away inside the suffocating darkness. After hugging the wall and praying the creepy crawlies don't get to you, you make your way into this special sub-region. The darkness seems normal at first, but then you hear it. The clanking of metal screeching against the ground. You turn around and are face to face with a metal death bird with guns for legs. You run under a pipe, heart thumping in your chest. The metal bird relentlessly chases you at first, but then gives up when it couldn't reach you. You are safe. After days of travel, you get used to the landscape. You know the nooks and crannies that the birds can't fit through. Weary and exhausted, you manage to find the next karma gate. Anyways, that is why I love this subregion the most. Man, I love Rain World. It's so vile. Okay, one more comment that I found funny. Baited my friend into going here by telling them about the Miros birds. Screamed loud as hell. I'm glad you're still with us. I'm sorry your friend probably isn't, but good prank nonetheless. And after 3 standalone entries, we've got a 3-way tie of regions that got 16 votes apiece. Starting with Depths, the subterranean one this time, which would have had 19 votes and would have made the top 40 if I counted the 3 votes missing a region indicator. Several commenters seemed like genuinely lost for words, which, yeah, fair. As the original and, for about 6 years, only ending to Rain World, it sure is different. The sacred, otherworldly feeling of the Ancients' temples, the complete lack of life, the way the world itself seems to unravel the closer you get to the Void Sea, it's a kind of surreal, completely different from Rain World's usual surrealness, and one that they doubled down on in Saints campaign, and then quadrupled down on in Watchers, cause like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? One commenter relayed their experiences with the game as a whole, and how Depths was such a perfect capstone to it. When I first played Rain World for the first time, I thought it was going to be just some hard survival game with some exploration and interesting simulated ecosystem, so I had dropped it after about 3 hours, but then I saw a YouTube thumbnail with 5 pebbles in it, and I got really interested and started playing again. Turns out this game was much more than just a survival game, and the Depths really was what drilled in the sheer depths of this game's lore and complexity in my brain, as well as a few comments about how effective it is as an ending. The perfect final level for all your challenges, and the emotional ending helps keep us on our toes to help us understand that it was all worth it. It's peaceful and a nice walk after the difficult journey to get there. Gives you time to relax and even acts as a very interesting and mystical place that feels alien on your first playthrough. A really good lead up to the Ascension ending for new players. The atmosphere is immaculate, and I love the breakaway from the scramble for survival. You've reached the end of your journey. All that's left to do is meet the Void Sea. I'm always excited to come here. Hard not to at least appreciate the Depths for what it is, even if, yeah, it's not the most exciting region to play or revisit, but it knows what it wants to do and it does it very well. And keeping to the theme of deserted temples, at least somewhat, Torrid Desert. I know I ragged on this place in my Watcher region ranking, but know that it comes from a place of love. I still like Torrid Desert plenty, it's just by the generally quite high standards of the Watcher, one of the least exciting regions to me. Honestly, given the praise I generally see for this region and the comments I got in my original region ranking, I'm actually fairly surprised it got as few votes as it did. It's a very pleasant region. Definitely one of the more chill regions in the Watcher, a nice place to take a break from the chaos of the more dangerous regions it connects to. One commenter worded it really well. It gives me the same feeling I get being in an industrial complex. It's never a bad thing to end up in Torrid Desert. There's also an aspect of the region I failed to bring up in my original region ranking that the comments here absolutely had covered. Great vibes, contains several bops. It has the best song in the game, Cup and Handle. I love this region's color palette and music. Cup is one of my favorite tracks because it really gives you the feeling of sounds echoing through the halls of the region. Light shading and music is superb. Love the sand, the music, the creatures, and the overall vibe. I wish it was 3 times larger. Torrid Desert will forever be awesome for some of the best tracks I've ever heard. Example, Cup and Handle and the music pro of Torrid both being absolute bangers. Yeah, I can't deny it, the music here goes off. Would place high in that hypothetical music ranking I'm not making. I'll close off with a few more comments about the region itself. For such a simple region, there really is so much life here. I always have fun traversing it. The vibes are pretty cool. I'm a big sucker for desert regions. It makes good use of Watcher's features such as terrain or its new creatures. The music is catchy, although its theme can get repetitive at times. My favorite Watcher region? I feel like a lot of the Watcher regions are similar, but Torrid is a great introduction to the campaign, providing nice contrast into a visually beautiful region with solid gameplay. Again, reaffirming that I think Torrid is a really nice place. I like it, smiley face. I just like a lot of other Watcher regions even more, is all. But that's a story for a later date. Rounding out our 16-vote trio, it's Underhang from the Exterior. Yeah, this is also my middle-ranked Exterior subregion, though I have the opposite ranking of them y'all do, so oops. It's also our 5th most popular subregion overall, tied with Thefts of course, which good on you both. Really, my only beef of Underhang is specifically on harder slugcats and mostly when you're trying to get into pebbles from below. Otherwise, it's a great evolution from the gameplay of the lake, shifting more from vertical platforming to horizontal platforming, just over a death pit instead. The problem arises when too many creatures get in the way of that platforming, which, yeah, the melting of linear gauntlets and an excess of creatures is usually where Rainworld gameplay falls apart for me the absolute most. But the atmosphere is immaculate, there's no denying that, and the way the region also develops across campaigns, being completely overtaken by Rod and Rivulet's campaign and crashing down into the ocean by the Time of Saints, the game gets a lot of mileage out of this region. Frick, I was about to type out a comment about this myself, but one of the region's voters has got me covered. First time the player can truly grasp the scale of a superstructure. Yeah, you really get a sense of just how big iterators are from just how long this region is. Most players only see half of it, and it's still quite a journey. Anyways, continuing the same comment, love how different it feels from other regions. Abundant lethal falls, rain replaced by green sparks and thunder, Rod as a main threat, etc. Again, something the exterior broadly does really well. The run of shaded to memory crypts to the lake to Underhang to pebbles is like a smooth curve of ratcheting up just how wrong each new area feels compared to everything before it. It's so good. We also had a lot of comments about grapple worms! I just love grapple worms, and blitzing through the Underhang as quickly as I can. Even on Rivulet's world state, I enjoy it immensely. Actually, the extra challenge makes it all the better. Really cool atmosphere and grappling worm. Immensely satisfying if you're good with grapple worm, and a fairly good challenge at the other campaign slugcats like Artificer or with Rivulet. I like going into 5 pebbles balls. Wait, what was that last? You know what? No, we're moving on. The suffering is part of the fun. Okay, and I respect your life choices. Okay, 2 regions got 17 votes, and spoilers, they're both Watcher regions, but I'll admit I'm flabbergasted at this next one being so low. Coral Caves, aren't you like the face of Watcher regions? The one they showed us to get us excited about modded regions being canonized in the Watcher? The one you're supposed to end up in first after the prologue? The one they made an entire goddamn Lego set out of? Screw it, I'm skipping straight to the comments because I need to find out what happened here. Okay, pretty blue. I just like blue. Beautiful. I see. So we seem to agree. This place looks phenomenal, but it's admittedly not the most exciting gameplay-wise. It's for the most part very pleasant to play, but with how wacky Watcher regions tend to get, maybe simply being pleasant and pretty wasn't enough to make it most folks' favorite. That describes a lot of Rainworld regions anyways, so that's not totally fair though, because it is a pretty fun, balanced water region, all things considered. And as one commenter highlighted, the lower part is the single coolest part of any region in the game, and the upper part's great too. Which, I mean, that lower part is just more submerged superstructure, probably because it connected to submerged in the original mod, but submerged is the best Rainworld region, so true. The creature variety here is very nice too, very heavily focused on new Watcher creatures or otherwise rarer ones like the big jellies. Also from the comments, Coral Cave serves as a brilliant introduction to the new peach lizards and their dynamic with barnacles. The deep sea caverns filled with quote-unquote tardigrades are a particular highlight for me. And I think I'll round things off with one more comment I quite liked, one that honestly captures one of the things I love most about Watcher. Even when I've explored it so many times that I've seen every nook and cranny, I always get happy and smile each time I random warp there, smiley face. Cause yeah, pretty often you're not sure where you're gonna end up after a warp, and it's always exciting whether it's either a brand new region or just a region you really enjoy. Coral Caves is definitely a region I'm never unhappy to get sent to, but really, only 17 votes, huh? Wild. I guess it'd have 18 if I counted the one for the modded region here, but I'm not doing that. And Tide of Coral Caves is a region I'm frankly surprised did as well as it did for what it is, Damon. You know, that diggy little lore region that has no real gameplay, just vibes. I mean, you could argue, and several commenters did, that significant parts of the 3rd and 4th endings take place in Damon, including that bonkers cutscene that doesn't even feel like it's a real part of Rainworld, but Damon's really mostly just got that wow factor going for it. That feeling of stumbling upon a secret corner of, I was gonna say the world, but like the universe, time, space itself. We still don't know exactly what Damon is, and that's a huge part of its mystique. I got plenty of comments about exactly that even. It has such a mystery to it, and the fact that it's probably alive is really cool. It is the mystery of this place I love, and the final Watcher ending. It's just such a bizarre and otherworldly place. It feels somehow alive. It's a bunch of floating islands in the middle of a weird void, and there's absolutely no mention or even implication of the existence of this place and its purpose anywhere else in the game. It's just such a fascinating place, even though I know so little about it. It made me feel like what I felt when I reached the depths for the first time. Funny that it actually beat the depths here. Kind of, again, the misplaced votes, but shh. Most other commenters just like the vibes. vibes. It's just such a nice place, you know? Very relaxing atmosphere, cool areas to turn off to, dreamlike vibes, you get it. Oh, okay, so, I know it's a weird one, but hear me out. The vibes are off the charts for this place post 1.5, and I adore how it's like a giant living creature. Oh my god, it's so weird and spooky and trippy, I love it! And one final comment that had me cackling. Reminds me of that one scene in SpongeBob where Squidward is stuck in a white space of colorful squares, but heavenly. RW129. Spoilers for the next Rain World expansion, perhaps? I feel like I'm going a little hard on Damon just for its, you know, lack of gameplay depth. I do think it's pretty cool, but when it's outperforming so many more fully fleshed out regions, that feels just a little weird, but this place is weird, so maybe that's fitting. And with that, we've reached our official clean-cut top 40, kind of. We do have 40 regions left, but there's still a few more ties, including for 39th place. 2 more Watcher regions got 18 votes, first up being Badlands. God, what a redemption arc on this one. From one of the most hated Watcher regions on launch to a region more popular than Coral Goddamn Caves, even if it's still around middle of the pack as far as Watcher regions in this ranking. Several commenters seem to think they were alone in liking this one, even. From what I've seen, this is an extremely unpopular take. The locusts are only annoying until you figure out how to deal with them, and figuring out how to cross the desert on the left of the region was insanely rewarding. This was even on the 1.0 patch of the game. Since then, it has gotten much better. I was a weirdo who liked Badlands even prior to the changes. Now, I do concede on the fact that Badlands was not great in its previous state, but I just didn't really care and thought it was a super cool and fun puzzle region that I really engaged with well. Which, yeah, both pointing out that this region was problematic in 1.0 for plenty of reasons. 1.0 was rough in general, honestly, and I'm glad they ironed out so many issues, even if I'd rather they have been, you know, fixed before launch, but I digress. What the region has now is, as one voter put it, incredibly thought out gameplay. Which, yeah, this is probably the most technical, for lack of a better word, Rain World region out there. It has a region-wide gimmick that you will engage with, yet there's so many different ways to engage with it that figuring it out isn't too hard, but still makes you feel smart as hell for doing so. Basically, and just stealing some more voters' words here, Badlands is a region that presents a huge challenge, but it's super cool to be able to win. It nails the difficulty perfectly. The challenge is balanced, fun, and unique. Look, I'm trying to read out as many comments as possible here. And even beyond that, yeah, the region just has excellent vibes. I said it once and I'll say it again, this is what I want out of a desert region. Not somewhere cozy, somewhere dangerous. And I'm using somewhat related comment, the threat OST now puts the fear of the Old Testament God in my heart. 10 out of 10. It's a threat thing that feels like it's pretty much constantly playing here, so yeah. I don't know where else to put this, but one of the commenters called out the Yeehaw Cowboy Desert, and that amuses me so. That's Badlands. It's a pretty good land. Yeehaw. Tied with it, also with 18 votes, another warm and orange region, Sunbaked Alley. And I'll note that I had one vote for Sunlit Port that I just lumped in here because, like, technically the same region. It'd be silly not to. It's honestly super funny that these two regions tied because Sunbaked also got a huge glow up in the 1.5 update by way of becoming, like, an actual region. Something that, like, half the comments brought up because, like, yeah, kind of unavoidable. Hell, one commenter even got Mandela affected by it. You ever come across a place in the game that makes you feel like you're remembering an event that didn't happen? That's what this region's previous incarnation did to me, and the upgrade it got in 1.5 brought it here. Which I'm more than thankful that it did get expanded because, yeah, the vibes here are great. Another region with lots of comments about the vibes. Arguably the best looking Watcher region. It's a very relaxed place. I think it did to me what Single Spires did to others with a nice atmosphere. It was already one of the most beautiful places in the game, and now when it's a proper region instead of just 5 rooms, its beauty and atmosphere can finally be enjoyed to the full extent. It's got one of my favorite palettes in the entire game. Of all the Watcher regions, this is probably the one I want as a base game connection, since it's, in my opinion, one of the most vanilla feeling regions while still feeling very fun. And yeah, as far as gameplay and exploration goes, it's definitely one of the most grounded areas in the Watcher. Not necessarily a problem, having a more normal region amidst the wackier Watcher areas could be a nice change of pace in of itself. Just wish it had a few less centipedes is all. I still don't like centipedes. Probably my least favorite of all the hostile creatures in Rain World, even to this day. Coming in at 38th place with 19 votes, it's General Systems Bus from 5 Pebbles. 4th most popular subregion. I'm honestly surprised this isn't even higher in either the overall ranking or the subregion ranking, because I feel like this is the subregion of Rain World, if any. The one entire videos have been made about, the one that changes everything, the one that has, you know, random gods, which of course over half of the comments at least mentioned, cause duh. Few comments about the tune I really liked. Random God is one of the best themes to play, and it really gives a sense of anger and confusion, hinting at the undertone of regret along with the rat actively eating 5 pebbles. The first time you get there and your screen is filled with 1,000 moving little lights and it plays random gods at you, I will never forget that. The first time I played Rain World, I had already been obsessing over it for like a year, and I had watched playthroughs, but holy crap, just something about seeing it for yourself. I stood in front of my screen with my mouth literally open for a solid 5 minutes. I never understood why people like the song Random Gods until that moment, but holy crap, I get it now. You start faintly hearing Rhythm Gods play, and it starts intensifying more and more until you get to the big room before 5 Pebbles, where it reaches its climax, and that feeling I felt there for when I first experienced it is something I don't think can ever be replicated again. It just hits. The feelings makes you wonder, what have you gotten yourself into? It's beautiful. This room is ethereal and is my favorite gaming moment ever. Random Gods perfectly sells the feeling of running through a godlike in comparison supercomputer's central nervous system. It's almost like meeting an eldritch god, and it is beautiful. Also, the song itself gives weird gender envy for me, 3. Hell yeah, I too aspire to be a genderless supercomputer. I think that's what you meant. As for the region itself, it's basically the climax of the game's second act, at least if you follow Iggy's path, and what a climax it is. The sheer awe that the region inspires, the scope of the big room leading up to Pebbles, and the meaning of Pebbles himself, it's Rainbow making as cool as the cutscene moments playable in a way that elevates them beyond just showing you something cool, and it's just a hell of an experience any way you slice it. It's, as one voter puts it, incredibly immersive. A few more comments just about the vibes. Just trying to imagine the amount of data passing through is enough to make me excited. The paradigm shift is profound. Random Gods, background detailing, neuron swarms, everything after felt post-credits. Yeah, frankly, in a lesser game, this would be the end. I really don't think anything else in the main game even gets close to how grand General Systems Bus is, even the depths. And considering it outranked that one, I'd wager y'all overall agree. Another tie for 36th place between 2 more Watcher regions. When the expansion has more regions than the base game and Downpour combined, I guess it has a bit of an advantage over them. Anyways, Heat Ducks. This is very much a sickos region, the kind that one specific type of player is really into, and if you're not that kind of player, you probably find it really unpleasant. But fortunately for me, I am that type of player, so yeah. Several of y'all are too, clearly. Wacky platforming to sick shelter, immaculate vibes. I like the old one a bit more because of the platforming challenge, but the new one slaps too. Worth noting that had I lumped the original modded regions vote into this one, which the above comment is from, it would have been solo 36th place, but not any higher here. No regions got exactly 21 votes, it turns out. I like that it's platforming focused and just the right amount of difficulty, and that hovering is bonus points. This is one of the only platformer regions in the Watcher, and it does its job really well. Having really difficult platforming, tricky threats, while also being sick AF atmospherically, and god, the fire looks so cool. Find the platforming fun, love the visuals, the fire effects are swag, what else is there to say? The fire does look beautiful, I will say, yeah. Actually, lots of comments about just that. Flamethrowers are objectively the prettiest things in all of Rain World. The flamethrowers are sick, and I love the challenges. It's fire, quite literally. Freaky platforming and giant flamethrowers aside, I like how much of a circular motion the main region has to it. It's a big old loop with a fairly linear path that's easy to traverse clockwise, but difficult and sometimes impossible to traverse counterclockwise. It really keeps driving you forward towards one of its multiple exit portals, but lets you loop back around in case you're not happy with any of the options presented. And the detail I also really like is how Watcher just looks so uncomfortable here. You can feel the heat just through Watcher's facial and body language. Giving them constantly closed eyes is shockingly expressive for how little detail there actually is. Frankly, it's just a region that nails everything it's trying to do. Design, difficulty, vibes, it's got it all. Really cool place. Glad to see it has fans and air vents. Yes, I am going to reuse that joke. You can't stop me. Also getting 20 votes, Unfortunate Evolution, which despite how like that it is also the highest ranked region where it is completely impossible to die. Yeah, one of the most horror-drenched regions in the entire game. Completely safe, actually. You don't know that your first time here, of course, sparking reactions like, what? Pebbles. Genuine chiz. Honorary mention, the scariest moment in the entire game. I thought whatever that was in the background would see me, so I tried to hide behind the background walls. Which, yeah, the rotworm feels like a threat, even if it isn't. Definitely the main character of this region, which several more commenters agreed on. Have you seen it? Have you heard it? And obviously just vaguely gestures to the rotworm-shaped elephant in the room? Yeah. Rotworm, wow! By far one of the Watcher's biggest puzzles to me. Insanely cool rot void worm. Evil rotworm is cool. Smiley face. It's really scary and mysterious at the same time. The implications of the rotworm are especially scary. Rotworm, that is all. We love our genderless boy, the rotworm. The experience of going through this region the first time is unquestionably one of the highlights of any Watcher playthrough, should you end up here, since admittedly the entrance is a little tucked away and completely optional, but that is something you have to seek out and makes it that much more special if you ask me. Closing off of a pair of comments I dug, this region makes you think about what 5 Pebbles must feel and how his future with the rot looks like, and it is terrifying. I don't really know how to put my mental thought of Unfortunate Evolution into words. It's so cryptic and soothing for something so rotted and gone. There's plenty of ways to feel about the region, it seems. The paradox of Unfortunate Evolution, they're calling it. Do you think this place is super neat? Yeah, even if it doesn't go that much past neatness. Alright, in 35th place with 22 votes, it's Looks to the Moon. The Shoreline subregion, specifically. Third highest subregion overall. Yeah, so here's a lore region that actually feels safe and cozy, despite technically being more dangerous than Unfortunate Evolution. If you told me every single one of these votes was just because of the voters liked Moon herself a lot, I'd totally believe you. This is the part where I read off comment. Funny wet robot. It's Moon. Moon, 3. I miss my wife, little creature. I miss her a lot. Wife 2, electric boogaloo. I love when mommy supercomputer holds me and gives me head passes rivulet, 3. Just Moon. What else do I need to say? I love Moon, and I would stay with her forever if I could. This is more because of her than anything else the region might have to offer. I love how interactive she is. Yeah, of course I'm right. Some of you need to chill, though. But even Moon aside, pretty much every room in the subregion is also low-key iconic of how many times you end up visiting it, so winding your way through the big middle room is one of the first real platforming puzzles in Rain World, and one of my favorites to this day. Some more substantial or pointful comments I got. Moon is an absolute sweetheart, needless to say, and she makes filling out the collectibles list more rewarding than if you just got a pop-up saying you could read the pearl text in the menu. Having it read out to you with Moon's own flavor text added is really cute and entertaining in my opinion. Yeah, like, it's a bit tedious to drag every pearl back to one spot on the map, but getting story time with Moon as a reward, complete with her own commentary on the matter, feels so much more satisfying than just like finding a flavor blurb out in the wild or something. On my first playthrough, Moon was such a cool mystery. I ate the flies and felt horrible. Good times. Ah, the old classic. It's always a little painful when I see first-time players get confused and think they need to eat Moon's brain cells because it's the only real interaction they have with her. I think the game does that on purpose, but it's still mean. Also, lots of comments about how chill this place is. It's such a peaceful region. I love just sitting next to Moon and relaxing. Peaceful vibes and Moon. And a few about how much I like story moments surrounding Moon. I love Moon's dialogue so much, and the ruins of her superstructure have become a comfort to me. This place is also where we find the emotional climax of Hunter's campaign, and it's still my favorite section of dialogue in the whole game. While the region doesn't deliver much in terms of gameplay, it serves as my favorite story moment in the entire game. Basically just a lot of things to love about this place. Shout out to the Saint variant and the incredible run up to the Echo there again. The region would have been tied for 33rd if I'd included the Frigid Coast photo here for what it's worth. And it would have tied with, oh hey, Bitter Airy from Submerged Superstructure, at 23 votes, of course. That makes it our second most popular subregion, and frankly, too low. This is the best one. It is impossible to convey the emotions one feels when playing through Rivulet's campaign and getting to this place seeing snow for the first time. Why is it snowing in my Rain World? My immediate comment upon finishing Rivulet. I was lied to, 0 out of 10. But yeah, it's also, wait, I can just read some more comments here. It's a nice portent of Saint's campaign. The snow in the earlier campaign hints at Saint's mechanic, and the region is just so sick to look at. Seeing snow for the first time in this game, which serves as a prelude for what you will have to experience as Saint, making you see and understand the consequences of a superstructure losing its power. This region brings a unique change in the lore implication that the post-iterated world is approaching an ice age. It's a great bit of foreshadowing, yeah. A little less dangerous taste of what's to come, because this place really is so lifeless. Save for a few roaming lizards in the Maris Vulture nest, probably part of why there's so few creatures here, come to think of it. At least one commenter agrees. Felt so dead and abandoned when I first found it. Has some of my favorite moments in Raid World. And I also got a, frankly, shocking amount of comments about the music. I really like the snowy aesthetic and also the layout of the place. I feel like it has a lot more depth than is usually expected for an official region, and it just captivates me so much. I think it also has some pretty golden music. It has the song Fragile. This will always have a special place in my heart. It was the first time we saw snow, and it had my favorite track in the game. Awesome visuals of the snow and good song choices. Parentheses Garden Fragile. Not exactly my favorites, see my music ranking, but they're quite pleasant tunes all the same, yeah. And yeah, the region's not much to explore, though it's not tiny either, and there's a fun little climb in the middle, but it does what it needs to do really well, and it's just so chilling to see how little remains of Moon City post-collapse. Literal post-apocalyptic vibes. It's just super neat. My lump vote for Submerged as a whole definitely wasn't excluding this place, all I'm saying. Tied with Bitter Airy, also at 23 votes, it's Waterfront Facility. I feel like this region in particular can only really be talked about in regards to how it relates to and diverges from Shoreline, which a lot of y'all did. It's Shoreline, but bigger and better. What else could anyone ask for? I like seeing what Shoreline looked like before Moon's collapse. I also like the music. Could use a bit of rat, though. This region is just Shoreline, literally, but better in every single way. It's beautiful, got banger music, and it feels so full of energy. Shoreline is already one of my favorite regions. The environment is very different from the rest of the regions. The music is great and all that, but the experience of entering Waterfront Facility for the first time instead of Shoreline was amazing. The lore reason for why it happened is really cool. The music is even better, and it really changes things up from Shoreline while also keeping things familiar. I really love it. And yeah, I'd say I like both regions about equally for a lot of the same reasons, really, but the way they complement each other elevates them both. The entire lower half is basically identical across both, but it's how ravaged Shoreline's upper half is, or rather unravaged that Waterfront's is, that gives it so much intrigue. Also had several comments about just like the vibes. I absolutely adore more in the atmosphere here. It's getting darker as you get closer to Moon, brighter as you ascend higher to the precipice. It's so sick, 3.
The effect it has on you when you first enter it and you understand you're way in the past. Extra points on Spear when the rain is coming and Moon's sirens start.
Seeing Moon's overseers around moving to the right towards the darkness and green particles, and finally seeing her leg blocked off here as already was such a feeling. And of course, several comments about various songs, the threat theme especially, but one vote for Trusted Component too, and one commenter who had the single best argument for the region out of everyone in just 5 short words: The Coast by James Primate. God, yeah, that really says it all, huh? Still the best song in the game, by the by, and I'm not sure it's close. I feel like most else of what I could say about Waterfront, I'd either say when we get to Shoreline or have already said about the Precipice, so let's move right along to 32nd place with 25 votes, it's Pillar Grove. Honestly, very impressive showing for one of the newest Rainworld regions, and it was so new that at the time I made my original Watcher region ranking, there was one thing I didn't know about it that plentiful voters commented on. Amazing alpha-inspired region, good creature interactions. I love the alpha vibes it gives off. I love the inspiration from old Rainworld rooms from the alpha version.
Alpha-like look, funky music.
Pillar Grove is peak alpha-like design, rich in ecosystem density. Yeah, I think you get it. And I think that's really cool. Makes me like a region I already quite liked even more. And as a lot of other commenters pointed out, it's very vanilla in feeling, probably because of its alpha inspirations. Somehow feels the most Rainworldy despite being fan-made. The only Watcher region with vanilla design. So vanilla. And lots of comparisons to one region in particular. Okay, so imagine if you took Outskirts and then made it goofy. That's what Pillar Grove feels like to me. I love how beautiful and alive this place is. Outskirts nostalgia also plays a role. This region is surprisingly big and it has a lot of really cool rooms. It's pretty diverse too. Kind of sticks out in my mind as an Outskirts too. Cozy.
This is probably the one region out of Watcher that feels alike to the base game, yet it adds in its own unique spin to it and creates a weird combination of farm raised and Outskirts type feeling, though feeling incredibly new and unusual at the same time, and I love it for that.
I like how in some ways it's basically farm raised, it was a more typically formatted region. I lied, it was actually 2 regions and I heavily agree with both, so it's one of those regions that just ends up feeling really homey because of how uncannily familiar it is, essentially. One commenter also just wrote WPGA_CO4, which is a tall room with a really goofy pipe maze I absolutely adore. Good pick there. And I got one really well-argued comment about the gameplay itself.
Pillar Grove is simple enough to let the creature interactions shine, but not too simple as to make it boring. The region doesn't rely on any gimmicks to stand out, but rather a visually clean and easy to read layout. This in turn makes getting around the rooms and the region as a whole easy and fun, as opposed to using difficult parkour, which can also lead to a region feeling clunky and unfun. The region is composed of a few different visual motifs, often interacting with each other to create new and interesting geometry. Not that I'm against Rainworld parkour, but there is something to be said about a region you can just traverse normally like a little critter would. It's just such a pleasant place. But not quite the most popular Watcher 1.5 region, that'd be Migration Path, coming in at 31st place with 26 votes, just one ahead of Pillar Grove. And here's a case where I can tell the vibes win out because Migration Path is much less impressive as a region you play, but it also has just the sheer awe and wonder of the actual Migration Path part of the region itself, which plenty of y'all were taken by. Seeing the migration of the tower crabs for the first time made my jaw drop. The strange effects in the sky are also really beautiful. I really appreciate the walk of the tower crabs to the right of the region. It's such a nice reprieve from the rest of the game. I'm a big fan.
Walking along the abandoned train tracks of the crabs shows a unique view into how the purpose organisms are adapting to the world.
Where are they all going? Crab, 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 crab. Funny joke crabs go brrr. So true. Really, the atmosphere as a whole is marvelous. The sky in the top left is beautiful, and the way its color changes as you move through the rooms is just lovely, and the lower areas are their own kind of freaky but beautiful, which plenty of y'all were also taken by.
Lower Migration Path has, in my opinion, the best visuals out of any region.
How am I the only one freaking out over this one? The weird dot ocean, the tower crabs, the giant lakes coming out from the floor, peak fiction.
It's hard to describe what I love about this region. The palettes, the bubble particles, the music, just the overall atmosphere of the region is so beautiful. The weird pillars down below make excellent atmosphere. It makes me feel so lost in the best way.
The underwater sections are beautiful. The murky greens and the warmer oranges make for a really interesting and incredibly pleasing color palette.
It's just an all-around gorgeous region, even if it is a little small. And as plenty of you also pointed out, Peach Lizard's smiley face, I love them. They're so dumb, but so smart. Straight to the S tier with them. And it's not like the gameplay is bad or anything, it just kind of takes a backseat to, you know, taking in how it all looks. One final reverent comment to close us out.
I just vibed with this region in every way. It is so mysterious and beautiful. I was in complete awe while traversing through it. It's just so peak.
Yeah, like, again, totally get it. The only reason this isn't among my personal favorites is because there's just so many absolutely wonderful Rainworld regions. Tons of games would kill to have one region as cool as Migration Path, much less 30. Damn, this game is good. Which, yeah, now we've reached the top 30, and in 30th place is a region that if you had asked me where I did rank at the start of this poll, I'd probably put it low in the single digits category. Didn't expect it to get a whole 27 votes anyways. It's Rubicon. I feel like if I ran a least popular Rain World region survey, this would make top 5 there easy, but there's no voting against the region here, only for it, and there's a whole crowd willing to stand up and defend this place. Rubicon slander not accepted. Everyone hates it and I don't know why. It's not too big.
I don't know why people hate this one. I thought it was really cool.
It's one of my faves, and if you disagree with me, you're getting sent here. And honestly, good on y'all. Like I said originally, and feel even stronger about now, it's a region that gets better on replay. When you have a better grasp on just how long the journey is going to be, a better sense of which paths are the safest, and really just more experience controlling Ascent and Saint to the point where it becomes second nature. Because the real Achilles heel of the region is that it asks you to play a completely different game than the one you've been playing for, probably in the range of over 100 hours by the time you finally get here. But like, if you have played enough Rain World to get this far, you should be experienced in learning things as you go, right? The difficulty has its fans too. This is the perfect region for a final challenge. Its difficulty left me extremely satisfied in the end.
Not only is Rubicon beautiful, I also really enjoyed it in terms of gameplay. I'm a console player, so I didn't really have a problem with the Ascension,
which I will also second. On a controller, it's completely fine, especially now that they added a new action button, but even before that. Anyways, Rubicon is just so cool, right? Rain World has become Hell World, but bits and pieces, and maybe more, are still recognizable, distorted and twisted though they may be. One voter also pointed out a detail I've always dug. Surreal, oniric, or abstract imagery and concepts, as well as tiny details like how every region-themed portion leads to another depending on real region connections, plus how the superstructure portion is reached from a shoreline room on the right or from chimney of the lake from the left. And another summing up the region's core appeal, this region leads into Downpour's big fan service and is functionally a Rain World's greatest hit in region form. Should have been twice as large. I do not think it should have been twice as large myself, but details. Again, surprised Rubicon did so well, but glad it did all the same. Okay, next up, everyone's favorite region, the best region in the game according to y'all's votes. Okay, I'm lying. It's the 29th best region, which is a lot higher than I'd place it, with 28 votes, Pipe Yard. I took a jab at this one in the original announcement video, so I'm honestly surprised it didn't get more meme/contrarian votes just for that, though it did get some weird comments.
I hate Pipe Yard. I think that's why I love it. It's a fun challenge, even though I usually just passage out of there after a few cycles.
I do not hate Pipe Yard, nor do I even dislike it, but to say that I like Pipe Yard is an insult to the concept of enjoying things. Pipe Yard for the win solely because they added into Downpour for no reason, and you have literally no reason to go there. There's no useful connections or items, and the only time you'd likely be there is because you spawned there in an expedition and now you have to leave. I do not know what compels some of y'all to spend one of your 5 votes on a region you don't like, but I can't stop you. That last comment really drills into why I'm as indifferent toward the region as I am, though. It's by far the most vestigial region in the game. Nothing it does is unique, none of its connections are particularly faster than any other routes, and it's a good deal harder to boot. I think fundamentally it's a fine region, but in a game full of so many great ones, it just does not stand out. A lot of y'all did come in on the defense for this one at any rate.
This is not a joke. I genuinely believe that Pipe Yard is the greatest Rain World region.
Why do people hate it? Amazing industrial sites, good music.
Pipe Yard hate makes me sad. I've always loved this region, it and all of its centipede spam. Functionally, it's an amazing shortcut. You can get from shoreline to Sky Islands in a single cycle with it. And second, the threat music slaps.
Yes, I am an unironic Pipe Yard lover. I love the music and the atmosphere, and I like navigating through the pipes. Every time I went there during my collection and expedition runs, I just felt at home.
That last one definitely touches upon something. This is probably someone's industrial complex, the hub region they return to often. And yeah, lots of praise towards the soundtrack here, which considering it did a lot better in my music ranking than the region ranking, I ain't gonna disagree with. It's got a lot of bangers. Went around things out with just a few more comments I liked.
Pipe Yard has amazing variation. Dim glowing caves, open industrial pipe mazes, and water tunnels.
It feels like there was a creature around every corner waiting to challenge you in a new way.
I especially remember how I felt when I first found the large legumes deep inside this massive maze of pipes and boreholes. It was a magical moment for me.
There's a lot to like here. Again, I just can't say I love it, but tastes. Okay, at number 28 with 29 votes, didn't quite hit equilibrium here. We have our first base game region, and you're never gonna guess which one. Okay, yeah, it's Farmer Race, obviously. It actually was pretty close between it and another region we'll be getting to pretty soon, but I am not about to complain about the region taking its rightful place at the bottom of this specific subcategory of the ranking. Cause like, yeah, obviously the base game regions are gonna have an advantage here simply for being the regions that by far the most people have played. Not everyone has played Downpour or The Watcher, and that's fine. Rain World is a really big game, but when the base game only has 11 regions to choose from, and not a huge helping of sub-regions either, it's only natural they all got a decent helping of votes between them. I'm not gonna disparage Farmer Race for that. that. And to no one's surprise, I still think this region isn't the best, though there is a lot to like about it. It also has some of the most passionate defenses out of any region, so I'm gonna defer to them.
Farmeries has some of the best and most reliable music, ambience, and feelings right before the deep dive in the subterranean into the depths far beyond your comprehension. It is the last hurrah of this forsaken world. Farmeries has a bad reputation because of the reindeer, but riding on them feels clever and peaceful, which is the perfect time to remember what Pebble said about your journey going west.
Aesthetically, it's beautiful, and I love the more rustic country vibe compared to the rest of the industrial-themed game. It feels like an actual edge, one can say an outer rim to the facility, and it's very similar in aspects to Outskirts. It's something familiar to see at the end of your journey.
Reminds me of places I've visited. It's very nostalgic. The emotion thread segment is kind of an encapsulation of that.
Look, reindeer suck, but I like reindeer. The concept of needing to use creatures and items cleverly in your environment to get around is wonderful to me. I also found several hidden downpour paths and farmeries on my first playthrough that made it feel like a much more expansive region with secrets to discover.
Honestly, I think it's just nice to read so many different reasons why people like this place, and I don't really disagree with any of them. That last one especially. The concept is so good, and on your first playthrough, it can be such a cool moment. It's the fact that I've come back here many times that kind of turned me against it. Hell, one comment even kind of tried to turn that same argument on its head.
It's very hostile, and after dealing with wormgrass and reindeer for the first time, you'll want to avoid this region in every other campaign, and that's what makes it so special. There are moments of beauty here that you'll only get to experience a few times because you'd rather take any detour than go through this region.
Which, I'm not sure is a great defense, but I could at least see it. Again, I feel like I only dislike farmeries comparatively to most other Rainworld regions, but there's still a lot of charm and personality to it. Up to 32 votes now. In 27th place, it's my Pookie Rusted Rex, that I, again, did not give my vote to this time, despite it still being my favorite Watcher region. The Call of the Far Shore was just too strong, but one vote wouldn't have changed a ton anyways, so I honestly kind of think I nailed it the first time around, and one voter agreed.
Objectively the best region ever made for this game. I don't have more to say, you explained it perfectly in your video.
Yes, I am reading this one to stroke my own ego, though I kind of disagree. There is no objective best region. Well, there is, and it's any region with moths, but I digress. There is one single thing I can think to add to my original review, though. The secrets in this region are unusually diabolical and kind of awesome by Rainworld standards. They tucked these bad boys away in some really out there spots, and you have to really be looking for them to find them, and hell yeah, a great reason to explore one of my favorite areas in the game. Sign me the hell up, baby. Anyways, I'm just gonna read off some cool comments for a bit.
This place is beautiful and just blooming with life. I also love how it is actually 4 mini biomes perfectly transitioning into one another. Just a really satisfying region to travel through. Visuals are great, and there are so many new creatures to interact with, like the peach lizards, drill crabs, tardigrades, etc. There are so many different types of traversal found in this region. There are shoreline-like rooms, tight maze-like rooms, underwater bits, long flat desert rooms, massive vertical rooms, etc. It almost feels like the garbage waste of Watcher. Super populated with all sorts of creatures, absolute bops of an OST, and are decently diverse enough to not bore you as you progress through the region. Going from trash heaps and small pools of water to a nice quiet beachside, and then to an open sea where frickin' evil art plays immediately hooked me to Watcher, and I was gushing the entire time. Shout out to the evil art room where things always go absolutely crazy in a very Rainworld way.
It has a very pleasant and fresh vibe. The vibe of a sun-drenched rusty shore and an abandoned coastal construction site. The sunlit rust is so stunning. I love the region's seabound vibe. That shoreline room tickles my brain every time. The gameplay is very well balanced too, and it helps that it has the best threat theme.
Watcher has a lot of dark and lonely regions, so Rusted Rex provides a welcome difference compared to the rest.
The vibes of this place are just so good. The gameplay is great. I would often go to Rusted just to hang out and play some Rainworld without trying to achieve anything else because this region is a joy to exist in.
Yeah, y'all get it. Plenty of reasons why Rusted Rex is as great as it is. Moving up to 25th place, we have a tie between two regions that both got 33 votes. First up, Subterranean. Yeah, makes sense that this is one of the less loved base game regions. I think pretty much the entire upper half of the region is just fine. I mean, pretty neat given that it's, you know, a Rainworld region, just not one of my favorites to play. Like, the abandoned trains are a cool set piece, but they consequently make for a region that's fairly flat and kind of repetitive to traverse through, and I find that the creatures are a bit too much in some parts of the region, but still think it's pretty cool. I'm mostly here for filtration systems and the devs, but we've already talked about those, so I'm just gonna throw it over to the comments. Yeah, we have a ton by this point. I want to read off as many as I can.
The feeling of diving into that huge chasm never gets old.
The streams of light shining through cracks in the earth while moles and centipedes try to devour you. Such a cool region.
Subterranean is, at least in my eyes, the most gorgeous vanilla region out of them all. The incredibly warm yellow sunlight creeping through the caverns, the moody subways, the hints of temples the deeper you go, Leviathan cave filtration systems, and the depths just being raw vibes.
One of the coolest areas with the best atmosphere. The trains and caves are such a cool mix and definitely underappreciated in terms of design and vibe. Very dark, threatening, and scary. Fitting for the final area. I love the cave feel, but most of all, I love how you can tell this place was used for something, especially in the right half.
I like trains. Some awesome rooms that use large space well. Big centipede room, Leviathan room, instead of just making the whole room a big mirror image of itself. I really don't know why. I love the soundtrack of this region a lot.
lot though. Literally all the songs that play in this area are big bops. Orange Blizzard, I'm looking at you. Has lots of fun connections to other regions, has good gameplay variety with its size, and just serves as a good final stretch as you reach the end of the game.
Sputernion.
Okay, that last one is just because I made a jab at people misspelling this region's name, which y'all are actually pretty good about not doing when voting, so I'd like to imagine that accomplished something. But yeah, lots of good arguments in favor of this region. I do like it, just it's a region I always find myself avoiding until I can't avoid it any longer, I suppose. It's really fun to swing across the ceilings as Saint though, I'll give it that. Also tied for 25th at 33 votes, it's Looks to the Moon, the region, which a lot of y'all felt the need to clarify you mean specifically the region, or told me the Spearmaster one or something along those lines, which that's why I had the sub-region field. Y'all, you just made my job harder. Anyways, this region is, well, if we exclude the kinda awful vents, I do like it. It's cool to see where it differs from 5 Pebbles, but in that same sense, it's another downpour region that kind of exists in relation to a base game region, which there were a plurality of 5 Pebbles but good comments, which both were good, shush y'all, but a few more verbose or interesting ones.
Lots to explore, lots of details to show her deteriorating state. I like seeing areas that are similar to 5 Pebbles. They make me so sad.
I love the tight platforming and the gravity puzzles inside Moon's main structure. All of my favorite parts of Pebbles and the exterior. Underrated for sure.
Substantially better than Pebbles in almost every aspect. Shifting gravity to make movement actually enjoyable, a greatly cut amount of rooms with no threats, an actual rain timer, and no region gates between her interior and exterior.
And there's one comment in particular that I want to springboard off of.
Genuinely, I love this region. I know there's a lot of issues, but I loved climbing this thrust and parkouring my way through the vents, and then the inside of the region, especially having the context of submerged superstructure and seeing all the rooms intact, it was really cool.
Yeah, you kind of get the reverse experience of Silent Construct here. We've only seen post-collapse Moon up until this point, either in her own subregion or in submerged superstructure, so this region kind of flips the usual bit of Rain World on its head, getting to see what the decrepit rusted machinery used to look like when it was still active. It's a clever inversion. Lots of comments about the vibes too.
The vibes are on another level. Getting to see an iteration rotting on the inside is one thing, but seeing another die from what can be equated to starvation is another, being truly impactful when you know the story behind it.
The entire ambience of failing machinery gives a sense of foreboding. You already know what will happen, however it is still a unique experience to be wandering around in an iterator can that is actively failing. The track that plays within Neural Terminus only adds to the feels. It gives a sense that the time is running out with the constant ticking and sirens, yet it is still beautiful. And plenty from people who feel emotions about Moon.
She is operational?
Seeing what Looks to the Moon was like before her collapse was so magnificent. Moon smiley face.
I love Reflection of the Moon. You also get to meet my wife.
Sure, it's one of the most challenging regions of the game, but seeing Moon in the prime always gets me emotional. There's nothing like that moment you enter Strut for the first time and it slowly dawns on you where you are.
I have no words, only tears.
Nearly every single voter left a comment, shockingly. I could keep going, but we really need to move things along here. But yeah, Moon's pretty sweet. Won't see me arguing against this placement. Moving up to 23rd place, we had another tie at 35 votes between 2 Watcher regions. First up, Fetid Glen, which, can I be real with y'all? Since my original Watcher region ranking, I've come back to all of these regions plenty more times, and as a result, my fondness for most of them has only increased. Except Fetid Glen. I honestly truly wish I liked this region more, but every time I come back here, I like it less and less. It's by no small margin the least fun region to play in the Watcher, and for once, the water section might actually be dragging it down. I think it's handily the worst water section in the game, between poor visibility, lack of bubbleweed, and the weird geometry in a few spots. As someone who loves Rain World swimming, I always dread coming back to this section in particular. That's how you know they fricked it up. But okay, the region is stunningly beautiful, I will give it that. I'm honestly not sure it has a single competitor in terms of sheer vibes because, like, Jesus Christ. It hits that perfect sweet spot of disgusting and breathtakingly gorgeous that makes Rain World look so damn appealing, and it's by no small margin the most colorful Rain World region out there. It's almost a little unfair. Anyways, y'all didn't come to hear me whine about a fairly popular region, and I got plenty of comments singing its praises, so let's just blast through a bunch of those. A bunch praising the aesthetics, of course.
Goofy, musty, and sludgy, but in all the right ways.
I love the aesthetics of this region. The whole thing looks like graffiti.
Probably my favorite region aesthetically, not just because funny drugs, but also the surreal architecture and the specific mix of surface and underground architecture is surprisingly difficult to come by in base game or downpour. This region mainly wins out due to how alien and unique it is compared to everything else. It was also uniquely colorful without pulling the everything is shaded one bright color card. It filled its role perfectly as an overgrown fungal swamp where I never knew what to expect.
But plenty of folks, including some I don't have time to read, praising the gameplay too.
Maybe I'm insane, but I love being in this region. It's so fun and wacky. The harsh noise background this guy has is wonderful, and basilisk lizards are really fun to play around.
The creature spawns are very clearly not intended for combat but platforming. Makes me wish there was a hunter equivalent for the Watcher.
So much variety, and it all looks so cool. Basilisk lizards as an exclusive creature to the region also makes it feel even more unique. I also like the semi-erotic kind of vibe it has, which makes me wonder where or when this region even is.
Future version of Salidation, by the way. Closing out with 2 of the meatiest but most insightful comments I got. What happens when you mix
some of the platforming of sky islands with the overwhelming spawns of subterranean, this place. Plus underwater stuff with anglerfish. Yeah, this place is the best, and it fits the vibes so well, and the vibes alone are crazy too. I love how this place looks. It is aggressive in every way to the player that I can't help but enjoy that.
Highly unique and stunning, figuratively and literally, Region of the Watcher campaign with its hazy, gritty, psychedelic atmosphere and fungal infestation. It has great threat music that references childhood's end, conveying the Watcher's grief-driven desperation for companionship, which the prince exploits to get him to help spread the rot.
Essentially, yeah, there is a lot to love, which is why I wish I loved it more. Ah, well, it's still good, so. And tied with it, also in 23rd place with 35 votes, Stormy Coast, which would have jumped up 2 spots to 21st if you included the 4 mod region voters. And frankly, I suspected if Stormy Coast was closer in size to its original modded incarnation, it'd have done way better here, because again, it is just too damn small, man. The region is too cool to be this tiny. Y'all agreed with me, of course. Dude, the lightning effects in the background are so cool. I just wish the region was bigger.
The music is awesome. I just wish that it was bigger.
The threat theme here is the best in the game by far. That alone makes me want to spend time in the region. Then the lightning and lightning effects elevate it to a whole other level. The atmosphere of this region is amazing and one of the best in the game. It is also just fun to traverse through. It sucks that it isn't bigger.
Because I do think that, size aside, it really is the complete package. It's got a unique gimmick, it's got a good mix of platforming and creature evasion, it's got atmosphere for days, it's got banger tunes. Really, what more could you ask for in a region other than that it also take more than a single cycle to fully explore? Anyways, hell yeah, rain. Where are all my rain enjoyers at?
I love the non-lethal rain so much, and the addition of lightning and watching made the region so much better.
Don't you just love a world that rains? I do. I love a world of rain. It has lightning and passive rain. What's more to ask from Rain World?
If Rain World was a region.
I just love anything rain related. You can guess why Rain World is my favorite game. Also, the lightning mechanic adds so much to it.
One of the best threat themes in the game. It has a unique lightning mechanic. The rain atmosphere is cool.
I love the rain. I'm a sucker for thunder ambiances. I love the threat music. The creatures are well placed. The lightning hazard makes it super fun to avoid. I just want to live there, not gonna lie.
That last one hits on the other thing I love about this place. It's, really cozy, really homely. Good to know I'm not the only one that feels that way about the region. I'm far from unique in this sentiment, and I'm glad for that. This region deserves all the love it receives. It was essentially a home for me when I was working towards the Prince ending, and it always feels like one when I visit. I just love Stormy Coast.
The region has amazing vibes. It is safe, it is rainy, and has great gimmicks. Very fun to explore, and is very explorable.
Essentially, a potentially S-tier region just like a dozen rooms shy of actually being one. Its size really does bug me, but well, it is what it is. Next up, in 22nd place with 37 votes, yet another dark and grimy place, The Rot, which also kind of shocks me because when Downpour first came out, I swear I heard nothing but, "Oh my god, I hate The Rot," up and down the boulevard. I thought I was relatively alone in loving it as much as I do, and I still do. It's so good. So it's good to finally be validated by y'all. First point of note, The Rot consumes. And then the people who came in on the defense.
Probably quite a controversial take, but I love The Rot. I find that the area incentivizes slow and precise movements whilst not completely punishing the player for making rash in the moment decisions. Due to Rivulet's increased agility, I find avoiding DLOs extremely fun and rewarding as you are able to actually deal with them, and that isn't even mentioning how good the area sounds and looks. In my eyes, a criminally underrated area.
Very unpopular take here, but hear me out. I've never really seen anyone talk about it anywhere, but the entire area feels designed with such meticulous detail that you don't really see anywhere else in the game. Like how all iterators, GSP, and memory complexes are inside giant boxes suspended in a void by pipes. The memory complex even has trams to transport resources around. A very underrated and overhated region. The Rot shows the entire point of Downpour, the passage of time. I think that last one is the thing I love about it the most. Again, what Downpour does best, showing the world changing over the cycles. And in this case in particular, it's also tied to one specific character's slow demise. For as much of a prick as Pebbles is, you can't help but feel bad for him, you know?
The emotional experience I had traversing this region for the first time was incredible. Even without the 5 Pebbles encounter, I think it could still be in my top 5. The atmosphere is immaculate and just so oppressive, and seeing the superstructure all broken apart makes for both some wonderful spectacles and some fun platforming and navigation challenges.
Oh, and yeah, it's kind of the perfect horror atmosphere for my money. I don't think any other region has done it better. Hit that sweet spot of both perceived danger and actual danger, quite like the Rot has.
The atmosphere also makes me feel an indescribable dread and awe no other game has made me feel.
Oh, how I both love and hate the Rot. God, it's so disturbing and gross, especially the depth subregion with Quanda and Not Your Rain. The most breathtaking region I love Downpour from a visual standpoint.
And one more kind of esoteric comment, weirdly comforting and nostalgic. It's nice to walk through. You know what? Good, actually. Cozy Canter Zone, yippee. And one whopper of a comment I particularly loved, so much that I'm not cutting any of it. Unfortunate development has cemented itself as one of the most iconic parts of any campaign. Every time I'll be wondering what it would be like this time. When I saw how much rot there was in the exterior in Rivulet's campaign, I got super worried. Seeing 5 Pebbles just straight up be called The Rot was kinda chills. However, instead of a super
super rough unfortunate development, we got a really awesome region. This might be structurally my favorite region in the game. It starts similar to many other Downpour regions. You're set to go in a specific direction until you find what you're looking for. However, this time, 5 Pebbles tells you to go back and explore it further. The region turns out to be an expansive labyrinth, and finding the core is really tough. It's easy to get lost, but in a way that is super fun and entertaining. A region that straight up tells you, go explore, idiot? Hell yeah. I am just so filled with wanderlust. If you get lost, that's a skill issue though. Blue Iggy will point you in the right direction, so yeah. The rot rules. I'm glad we all agree. In 21st place with 38 votes, a much less controversial region, drainage system. Yeah, I'm glad we're all coming around on this one, especially since, like, we know how much worse it can get. Nah, but aside from my very first time here, when I was but a wee little slug pup in this great big world, I've always liked this place. And yeah, lots of similar experiences in the comments. Almost dropped the game because of it. I slept in the shelter by the filtration gate and got stuck here for 3 real-life days. Worst experience of my playthrough, 10 out of 10 unironically.
My experience, first region I went to, died 6 times trying to get in, gave up. Perfect region. Used to hate and curse it on my first ever survival campaign because I got stuck in an infinite death loop in the flooded tunnel, so I had to fully restart my playthrough. Avoided it at all costs until I finally gave in and it naturally grew on me. And then the expected defense of said beginner's trap.
The top half of this region presents challenges in the way of creatures being goddamn everywhere, whilst the lower half presents leeches. I think the way this is done is super awesome because the top half is the area you usually spend the most time in if you're coming from outskirts, and gives you some time to prepare with the water mechanics before you get down to the hellish tunnel to garbage. And the sub-gate requires you to go through the entire gauntlet of water puzzles no matter which gate you come from. And that alone just makes this region brilliant. It's so well designed based on the point you're at in the game. And honestly, even if you get stuck in the beginner soft lock, it presents a challenge that realistically welcomes you to the suffering you'll go through in a lot of other places in the game too. So honestly, I would say it's a good thing overall. Not quite sure about that last part, but otherwise, good effort. A few more comments about the difficulty.
I love the gameplay here. The water puzzles can be challenging as a beginner, but they're very rewarding later on. The lower platforming sections from the outskirt entrance towards subterranean have no enemies, posing a predictable challenge. Early on in my first playthrough, this predictability was crucial in allowing me to fall in love with the game. Getting to garbage waste through here for the first time felt like I had finally proved myself to the game, and similar to Shoreline, the region's unique design, this time leaning more towards claustrophobic tunnels, helped it stick out far more.
This was the first region, other than outskirts, I entered, and yes, I got stuck for so long. But wandering through the maze of tunnels and pipes and overgrown pools, listening to the dripping of water just gave off such a cozy, enclosed feeling.
It really is fairly tame as far as swimming regions go, but it's got such a pleasant vibe to it, and a lot of love with the soundtrack too, which I'd also agree with.
Find me in the mud pits, James Primate.
Good aesthetic, the wet and moist, and also water.
To me, every other region is not close. Mud pits and the wet and moist are peak. I love grime, I love swimming, and it feels as rainworld as outskirts and more rainworld than industrial.
It's just such a nice place. Come in and take a dip, the water's fine. Sewers have never felt cozier. As one commenter put it,
this is what I imagine every sewer looks like. Don't correct me, sanitation workers.
I'm banning you from my comments if you try to, by the by. And funnily enough, coming in just above drainage system, tied for 19th place with 41 votes, outskirts, which frankly, shocked this is so low. The most played region in Raid World, where it all began, barely cracking the top 20. I mean, I don't personally disagree, but it's a surprisingly weak showing for one of the game's most iconic regions if you ask me. Like, come on, it's the OG. How can you not like it? You said it, bestie. I get the sense people appreciate the region more as like an introduction for new players and or a cozy, easy region for experienced players, both of which are incredibly valid.
Gives a great first impression of the game and it shows what the world is like.
Pretty much the core of the game and feel. Makes me feel like a rat in Manhattan.
It's just nostalgic and just feels like Rain World.
The first 4-ish hours of Rain World were the most fun. Everything's simple and new.
Outskirts gives a great way to sort of teach the player the basics of the game, with simple creatures and just a little bit of everything.
It's the perfect playground to practice and get in touch with the mechanics and creatures in the game. I truly love the feeling it gives of an overgrown, collapsed suburban place where life is now thriving in. Shout out to SUBF4 for being one of the most fun and technical rooms in the game, by the way. Nostalgic, fun, homey, deserves appreciation for being the starter region and comfortable to traverse for vets.
Outskirts is very good at both being an introduction region and also just being a regular region in other campaigns for subsequent visits beyond playing your first Survivor/Monk run.
Outskirts just as amazing as being a tutorial region, but it also works really well as a playground to just run around in, primarily the far east and west sides of the region. Great aesthetic also.
Extremely fun on the campaigns of harder spawns, but even on the calmer campaigns, you just can't go wrong with Outskirts.
Outskirts, it does it all for less. Really, aside from my minor structural problems with the region that I dug into in that one ancient video I wish had less views, I love pretty much everything about this place, and I definitely agree with everyone saying it feels really cozy and homey, even when there's red ledgers on harder campaigns. Love those guys. Was also one really good comment about the region's most iconic song.
Urban Jungle is like an introduction to Rain World, and it really sets the forgotten industrial world feel which I crave in Rain World and can't get enough of.
It's such a cool and memorable tune, even if I wish it wasn't, 6 minutes long, muffling the thread theme. I think Outskirts is a little scuffed in a few ways, but I kinda admire it in its imperfections all the same. One last comment comment before I move on. Crows are awesome! This is not related at all, but I just wanted to say it. Best comment of the entire video for my money. No, I'm not biased. Tied with Outskirts, also at 41 votes, and hey, finally another one of my votes. Desolate Tract. Yeah, so, okay, good. I'm not insane for thinking this region is something special, man. It's y'all's 5th highest ranked Watcher region, which, yeah, we're getting to that point now. Woof. But yeah, still one of the best Watcher regions in my mind, easily, just for its atmosphere alone. Although its gameplay is pretty novel too. One comment in particular I agree with.
I enjoy fighting lizards in this region. I also like how it looks both normally and infected, and I love practicing extended slide here.
It's like a shockingly good tutorial level, kind of outskirtsy in how many green lizards and flat rooms there are, but like evil outskirts. It's definitely one of the easiest regions in the Watcher, but it more than makes up for that in sheer horror, and a lot of y'all had thoughts and speculations about that.
The best thing in Rainbow for me is the feeling of scale paired with the uncaring quality and borderline hostility of the world and its terrain. And while this region isn't at all the one with the biggest structures, it's still absolutely huge and to me feels like the most uncaring place. The geometric nature makes this feeling only more pronounced. It really nails the hostile nature of some superstructures to me.
It has by far the creepiest and scariest ambience while not using the darkness mechanic.
This region has a vibe that's rare for the game. The vibes of desolate open space similar in feel to the landscapes of The Wall. Here the eerie atmosphere of a liminal, dreaming, abandoned world and the sheer scale of the mysterious infrastructure are more pronounced than in the vast majority of the game's regions. When I fell and first saw the loaches, that is when the Watcher's epic scale first struck me.
Once again, it's the atmosphere. I love the industrial aesthetic, and I also love how alien the structure feels. I have no idea what its purpose is.
Enigmatic, muted in color, elegant in lighting, and absolutely striking in its form. Brings vivid images of the abandoned megastructure with an unknowable function to mind, creating a beautifully unsettling, desolate atmosphere.
It looked like a missile launch site to me when I first came here. Also, wind go wee! Wow, such a weird region. Vast corridors of concrete interrupted by deep chasms. In the lower levels, you find weird tentacle tick things. The whole time you are in this region, you are left to wonder what the whole structure could be, but the DLC never answers this question, and I think the region is even better for it.
Yeah, y'all get why this place is so cool and creepy. I don't think I could have explained my love for the region any better than I did in my original Watcher region ranking, so thanks for the assist, y'all. One final comment that I respect as much as I hate.
The region is quite cool, but I don't like it as much as I do because of the horrendous loach.
They suck. I love them. They're horrible. Yes. And if you can believe it, that was the very last tie of the entire ranking, so it's all standalone entries from here on out. Thus, coming in at number 18 with 43 votes, Garbage Wastes. Actually, a little surprised this is as low in the base game region ranking as it is. It beat all the ones you'd expect at the bottom, and also Outskirts, but that's about it. But I guess it makes sense, kinda. Garbage Waste isn't as homey or classically Rainbow as the more industrial areas, and it's not as standout or iconic as all the rest left. It's just this weird middle spot of being its own thing, but not being that big of a thing. Which, for the record, is part of what I like about it. It's the mid-game difficulty ramp-up, rougher terrain, more dangerous and complex creatures, a bit more of a maze-like design to it, the first chance you have to encounter the rot, there's a ruggedness to it that basically no other region in the base game compares to except maybe Subterranean. And its music slaps, that helps a lot too. Also, it's Scavtown, USA, which scavenger region. Unpopular, but I find it very fun here. Lots of scabbies. I love scavengers!
I believe that this is the best region due to several reasons. To get this out of the way, I'm biased towards scavs, and since this place is like a hub for them, it gets bonus points. The music is strange, and the threat theme is very goofy, and it always reminds me of the scavengers.
Scabbies. Also, I like the music. Garbage City Shuffle, my beloved. I really like how it's a scav-heavy region.
Scavengers are by far my favorite creature in Randworld. They're so silly and goofy. How could you not love them? So this is my favorite base game region because of that. I love just walking around with scavenger packs and fighting things off with them. Yeah, I feel like if you're a big funny monkey fan, this is the region for you, and I cannot argue against the notion that they are, in fact, amazing. Even when they're trying to kill you. They're just so fun to watch do things, including things that end up killing themselves. Stupid monkey. When I die on accident, I do it with style. We also got another round of Stockholm Syndromers. During my first playthrough, I was stuck here for a long time and hated it. Therefore, I now have a heck ton of nostalgia for this region and love it to pieces.
Garbage Waste was the first major roadblock of my first playthrough, so I got to spend a lot of time in it. In a way, it almost felt like home, especially due to the color palette.
Got stuck in Garbage Waste's rivulet during my first rodeo of the campaign. More than any other moment from my Rainworld experience, it really felt like everything was trying to murder me. 10 out of 10!
Which I think is worth noting that most of these kinds of experiences only come from first-time playthroughs, so it's yet another buff that base game regions have. That love-hate relationship you grow with them and look back on fondly no matter how much it sucked at the time. Even if it still happens on later playthroughs sometimes anyways. Hello, Vince. And as a few commenters pointed out, the lore's just great.
I like the lore of this region, and that it's where Pebbles fleshed out some of his internal structures to get rid of the rot, which you can easily identify in the underground caves where the brother Longlegs are.
I am especially a big fan of the memory complex chunk at the bottom. A really good example of environmental storytelling.
Wait, what? Oh my god, you're right. I never made that connection. Wow. I love that I'm still learning new things about this game. It's so cool. I also had one commenter compare its greenness to Verdant Waterways, which at number 17 with 46 votes, Verdant Waterways, yes. I get the sense that this is in part the region being a lot more well regarded by the community than myself, in part a meme because the actual real Verdant Waterways from Rainworld comments on a lot of YouTube videos. It is the best region in the game, totally not Verdant Waterways from Rainworld. Hello Verdant Waterways, you're looking quite green today. Rapid fire finding comments mentioning green go. Green. It's green!
It's green, plus I like the tides mechanic.
It has green humor.
Good gameplay, threat theme, green humor.
Green and good music. Frequency shift song, and green is nice on the eyes, heart emoji.
Unique, beautiful, green, and balanced in traits.
Verdant's green hue has won me over. Also, the water mechanics are never overbearing.
It truly is a Verdant waterway. Y'all love your green, huh? I feel like it's less that I'm down on this region. Like, it's nice, it has a fun gimmick, it's for the most part not too threatening, has plenty of memorable rooms and set pieces, and more so, I'm just not very high on it, just not all that impressed by anything it does. I'm never having a bad time here, but rarely am I all that into it either. It's about as neutral as I can feel towards the Rainworld region, which is weird for a water circle like me, but frankly, this is barely a water region. Maybe that's why I'm so indifferent to it. Like, it's good, just not much more than that for me. But y'all are bigger fans, so have at it. A lot of drainage but better comments, which wrong, but besides those, very well thought out level design that requires precise movement and planning to navigate without getting caught by kelp.
A region with an immaculate sense of rhythm and fluid motion. A blast to play through. A water-based region that finds creative ways to effectively utilize all the annoying creatures in the game. I can't think of anything better. The threat theme is hands down the best threat track, and I actually ran torch threats on my first playthrough to better hear the theme.
The region's water puzzles with the water fluctuations are really fun. The spawns are perfect and the threat theme is fire.
I think, like most Watcher DLC regions, it could have been larger and more developed, but the big reservoir/overrun water processing locale is so cool. Top tier threat music.
Mostly because of the music, but the region handles water mechanics super well. I feel like there might be an overabundance of eel lizards sometimes, but other than that, it's a really good region. That super green aesthetic caused by algae in there is such an amazing detail. I just wish it was a little bigger. Lots of love for the threat theme here, more than I read off, which threat themes are never really my favorite tracks, but this one's a banger, yeah. Again, no hate to this region, not surprised it did this well, it's just not my favorite. Definitely not the 4th best Watcher region at any rate. And moving on to the top 16, we reached the regions that cracked 50 votes or more, so like around every 1 out of 10 submissions had this next region as one of their 5 picks, so I think it's safe to say we've truly hit the big leagues now. And fittingly, that comes with our next base game region. At 51 votes, it's the exterior, which is incredibly awkward to talk about here because it is literally and exclusively comprised of subregions that I've either already talked about or will be talking about later. Yes, the wall is the only subregion to outrank its main region, unsurprisingly. So to avoid being too redundant, I'm just gonna go straight to the comments here, and y'all will get my updated thoughts on that subregion in a bit. The first time you get here after the skill check and memory equips feels like another game. The lake feels uncanny, and once you reach the underhang, you're starting to realize that what you're climbing is not something random, and I just love it.
Lots of regions seem to either have great environment or fun gameplay, not to say any lack either entirely. The exterior is the one that in my opinion is best balanced. Really fun and interesting from a gameplay perspective while also being very unique environmentally.
Grapple worms are so cute!
The exterior, despite being kind of 3 different regions in one, is in my opinion one of the most interesting and varied regions in the game, both in gameplay and visuals. I find that the region in its entirety builds up to both inside and the top of 5 Pebbles superstructure masterfully. While it has some sour moments, like especially stubborn DLLs and white lizards, I feel that it is most of the time an enjoyable ascent of some of my favorite visual language in the game. Regions that focus more on verticality are really uncommon, so it always feels unique and fresh.
My love for this region specifically excludes UWDO5. Huh? What? That room rips. Its AO2 I think should be burned at the stake. The exterior has the best platforming in Rainworld. Swinging through Underhang is extremely satisfying, and climbing the wall is both beautiful and fun. The exterior has the 2 most iconic vistas in all of Rainworld. Seeing the city for the first time as Stargazer plays is simply unforgettable. The region does suffer from its linearity in creatures. In harder difficulties, particularly downpour campaigns, it's just not fun to go through at times due to the creatures being overly obnoxious. The linearity doesn't help in that regard, but downpour aside, the exterior is a very good region. Yeah, I'd agree that it's way worse in downpour than in base game, but that is a fault of the base game ultimately, and on that note, one criticism that's my biggest sticking point of the region, maybe even the entire game as a whole.
Only note, the wall gate shouldn't be easier than the underhang in a first playthrough. Getting to 5 karma is way too hard for new players, and I wish more people actually entered 5 Pebbles their first playthroughs. It feels way more grand.
This exactly. I know I've made the same criticism myself, so anyways, we'll circle back to the wall in a bit, but we need to keep this video moving along. And what better way to do that than with the biggest jump in votes we've seen so far? Up to 60 votes, 9 above the exterior, in our 5th most popular downpour region, in 15th place, it's Undergrowth. Not shocked to outperform this wetter sibling, nor am I upset, cause it's not like I don't love this place too. More for the lore and implications than the actual, gameplay, though it's pretty solid in that aspect, and a notably different experience than the rest of Saints campaign to boot. But yeah, most of the comments are about the vibes.
An absolutely insane transformation of drainage systems that shocked shocked me the first time. The visuals are great and the traversal feels tailor-made for Saint. It has such different vibes in the campaign compared to the other regions.
Amazing maze of flora. Feels cozy, and it is just crazy to see a region so overtaken by nature again. The sound effects are really unique too. The drainage system had some of the best classic Rainworld vibes. Shout out to the OST. So in some ways I prefer it. But how Undergrowth is presented in the DLC and how this small, almost forgotten place is able to team with life and warmth in this Ice Age wasteland is awesome. Wet, moist, warm region like a swamp. And swamps are cool. This region was so special to see. In all the desolate snow-covered regions, it was so full of life and color. And the glowing mushrooms growing in that collapsed section before the Echo was a standout in just Rainworld in general.
Made me forget my objective. 10 out of 10 crawling through the mud simulator. Extra points since I only recognize it as a featured drainage system from a few slightly similar rooms. It's breathtakingly beautiful, and it uses Saint's tongue excellently. Undergrowth truly feels like an ecosystem, and the Echo helped me decide not to commit suicide, which is a massive bonus.
Holy, well, glad you're still here with us. I do think the Echo is the absolute highlight of the region, though, in that it's like a rebuke of everything that the ancients believed in. Someone who believed in a future instead of getting so lost in the old ways that it destroyed their entire society. An unwilling victim, perhaps. Something that the Watcher would also pick up of spinning top to a similarly powerful effect. As Rhinestones themselves put it,
what offering from the void could usurp the gift of life already given?
What else is there even to say? Beautiful, beautiful region. That's one of the highlights of my favorite Rainbow campaign. Its high placement here is more than deserved. And on the complete opposite note, in 14th place with 66 votes, Shaded Citadel. I think retrospectively, I may have ranked this a bit lower than it deserved in my original region ranking because honestly, Shaded is so cool. Yeah, its gameplay isn't the most exciting, and over the years, the monster kelp swords have drawn more and more of my ire. But like the main Shaded experience, the dark maze of rooms where spiders scurry about, accompanied by some of the loveliest tunes in the game, there's a sense of like serenity in its danger, even if the top half isn't really very dangerous. Maybe that's why I like it so much more nowadays. It's cozy as hell. Had a lot of folks commenting about how this is where they fell in love with the game too. One in particular I really liked.
I wouldn't have gotten involved with Rainworld as much as I did if it weren't for this place. Coming from that bridge of industrial to slowly see how the environment fades away in the obscurity, the climb down after the Karma Gate, the outdoor screens of distant buildings in the background while black moonlight starts playing, Jesus Christ, I would be lying if I say that moment didn't strike something on me. I knew the game was dense ever since the intro cutscene, but wow man, absolutely breathtaking moment.
Black Moonlight really is that song, yeah. Or, well, one of them. Rainbow's music is so good. But I had a lot of comments about Black Moonlight in particular, and an alternate universe version of that last comment.
The tonal whiplash I got when I went from the beautiful yet eerie scenery of shoreline to the long, dark halls of what used to be a large religious building shaded by a large two-sided robot can't even be described by words. I genuinely considered dropping the game in Shaded Citadel, but I didn't, and I still love having to visit that place in my playthroughs, but that place is the pinnacle of hype moments in Aura. And just some more general comments I liked. There were a lot here. Sorry if I don't get to yours.
This is one of the few regions to have a gimmick, being the darkness and memory crypts with the Mirrors birds.
And I think that makes such a breath of fresh air and tell a story as you explore. It is widely hated because of the darkness and the plethora of spiders, but it's a beautiful region in that the environmental storytelling is phenomenal, the atmosphere and architecture is stunning, and if you know how to deal with its issues, it's an easy route to take.
Once you've memorized its routes, Shaded is just a nice break from the warpath. You get the vibe to Black Moonlight, Lantern Mice, and Flow, all within the span of 1 to 2 cycles with no real danger.
Molas is a very fun. Lantern Mice are genuinely adorable. The scav population is quite nice, and on the whole, I think it's one of the strongest regions in terms of Rainworld's ecosystem simulation. The fact that it's made much easier or harder based on the choice you made at Moon is brilliant. Also rewarding players who took the time to engage with and befriend scavs by letting them buy a lantern. I think it's really fascinating from a design standpoint, yeah. Multiple ways to approach it, different paths to cross left to right, but if you want to go down, you have to engage with the more difficult path, and it funnels you really well towards memory crypts if you do. That's only a footnote compared to the vibes, of course, but it's just another reason the region's so great. But what if we wrecked it? Yep, at lucky number 13 with 70 votes, Silent Construct, 4th most popular Downpour region, and I'm not all that surprised by that either. I'd say that it's got at least one moment that could contend for the 4th best moment in the game. Probably. I haven't made that list. Maybe I should make that list? I'm not making that list. Anyways, you know what I mean, or maybe you don't. There's actually several. Entering from below and reading Silent Construct for the first time, seeing the transition from Shaded to the Husk from either direction, the long, cold journey to the Echo, but of course, I mean the moment where you find Pebbles, which, well, I'll leave the commenters to express their feelings.
Traversing this place as Saint and seeing rude remnants of places I once knew was just, holy hell, man. I straight up wept when I found Pebbles himself.
One of the best pieces of environmental storytelling in the game. Stunning. You see just how low 5 Pebbles has fallen, culminating in the moment you finally reach him. Incredible. I'm simply never going to recover from seeing Pebbles in his half-dead state, still listening to his purl.
Finding Pebbles at the top was such a captivating experience that I just stood there listening to the purl for like 5 minutes.
Lovely to see everything so familiar breaking. Hearing the distorted music purl was very impactful.
Finding 5 Pebbles was also one of the things that really resonated and affected me. This is partly because I kind of see 5 Pebbles rot as similar to my sister having brain cancer. She's okay now.
Hell yeah, glad to hear. Cancer sucks. One longer storyteller as comment I want to read off
path. Seeing Shaded Citadel crush under so much rubble was something I would want to experience again for the first time. The actual climb towards Pebble's chamber was thrilling. Having to detour into the superstructure itself since other common paths were blocked was kinda sad at times as well. Then, after multiple shelters and being lost in the maze of familiar places, none really matching what you expect, you meet 5 Pebbles and all he has to say is, nothing here, nothing left. Even after all Pebbles did he deserve this? Yeah, it's just so much. After everything you've seen him go through, the highs and the lows, his biggest sin and his last attempt at redemption, all for his entire life to not really amount to anything in the end. Just an empty shell, one you could hardly call living. Oh, and like, the region's cool as hell too. Good mix of comments on both the vibes and the gameplay here.
A winding maze of vaguely familiar passages is a perfect sandbox for Saint's abilities.
I love all of the care of this place. It is so interesting to wander through and recognize what once was.
The region is perfectly made for Saint, with long loops for swinging and climbing at broken parts of the exterior. It's also just the best environmental storytelling in the entire game, only rivaled by Undergrove and Outer Rim.
I love the environmental storytelling and details so much. There's just so much to take away in every separate screen. Reynold has always exceeded well in this sphere.
I love how it feels like you're climbing a huge mountain. Fun fact, Sail Construct has only vanilla creatures. Cool, smiley face.
That's not true, it has Saint. But yeah, the sheer aura of this place kind of overwhelmed most of my other thoughts about it, but like with most of Saint's campaign, I love it a lot. Just 2 votes ahead of our last entry with a whole 72 of them. In 12th place, our 5th most popular full base game region. Yeah, bit of a caveat there, but whatever. Shoreline. Honestly, kind of surprised, but not upset either. Maybe we're all just coming around on Rainworld swimming. Maybe it's because it has Moon. Maybe it's the killer threat team. Reading through the comments, there's a lot of all three, so yeah, some combination of those factors. Admittedly, even as a swimming fanatic, I've never been madly in love with the region. I just think it's pretty good, and pretty chill to traverse when you know what you're doing. The blue leeches can bite me though. They've been my mortal enemy since my very first playthrough, and my hatred shall never diminish for as long as I live. Anyways, I've got so many comments by this point, let's get to them.
I convinced my papa to play Rainworld with me, and he really fell in love with the game in Shoreline.
Aw, heart emoji.
For some reason, this area feels so much more open, and I like that. It's nice having a break from tiny rooms, hallways, and crevices. The threat music is one of the most recognizable and one of my favorite tracks. I also like the axolotls, and they are silly.
Shoreline has it all. There's just so much variety in this region. It's got claustrophobic swimming tunnels, it's got wide open spaces, it's got high altitude platforming, it's got those little islands of all the salamanders running around. It's even got Moon, which is always a bonus.
Has Moon, looks nice, has great music and atmosphere. Loses some points for the jellyfish unlock and that one room with a tower in the middle of deep water on both sides. God, don't get me started on those. Some of the worst collectibles in the game, really only rivaled by the farmer-raised deer pearl.
Shoreline, especially the rooms leading up to Looks to the Moon, have such a somber sense of inevitable decay that I can never get enough of when playing.
The atmosphere is just breathtaking. The music and the sound of the waves is just amazing. And my favorite threat theme. There's this really melancholic vibe to Shoreline that I can't get enough of.
Shoreline is the place that I've always felt at home in. This region is where my monk save file rests.
Probably one of the most fear-inducing regions for me. The large bodies of water spook me, /pause.
Hey, you should play some Nautica, /joke. Anyways, one really great and thoughtful comment I really love before we move on.
Shoreline defined my Rainbow experience and was what made me completely fall in love with the game. It's such a perfect narrative forward to the Void Sea. You thought you were being guided towards your family only to be met with the ocean. There's nowhere left to go, but you continue anyways with the little hope you have left, and then you meet Moon. You realize you've been led astray this whole time. The world becomes more confusing and the journey isn't even half over. In that moment, it's devastating, but in hindsight, it is the most integral part of the Enlightenment journey.
Rainbow may actually bring out all the greatest thinkers in the world, is how I feel about that. Hell yeah. Alright, that was a nice pick from Superstructures. Anyways, 5 Pebbles, 11th place, 83 votes, one single vote shy of the top 10, but definitively the 4th most popular base game region, or 5th if you count the one sub-region left, which makes for a much more satisfying number, so let's. I feel like in the wake of Downpour and The Watcher, it can be easy to forget how stunning this region is on a first-time visit, because it really just changes everything. The atmosphere, the gameplay, the course of the story. Realistically, 5 Pebbles himself is the axis around which every major plot point of the base game and Downpour pivots.
I'm sure this will be a popular pick, but I will never forget how it felt to enter GSP for the first time. It's so beautiful, the neurons flying around and random gods playing in the background. God, I love this region so much.
Playing through the game on Survivor for the first time and entering 5 Pebbles is an amazing experience. The whole region is a huge change of pace with the lack of gravity and lack of threats for the most part. Then as you are approaching 5 Pebbles chamber and the music starts to play and gets louder, it makes you feel something no other part of the game made me feel.
Masterclass in world building and environmental storytelling. The build up to this region was absolutely incredible. The way the harsh environment of the leg and underhang build up to in contrast the sterile and completely alien environment of 5 Pebbles. And then it does it again with the build up to finally meeting 5 Pebbles with the chaos of General Systems buzz with the music and shifts in the environment. It makes itself appear as a destination all your struggles were working towards. You feel that this is finally it. The journey is over and you are finally going to get answers. But when you finally meet 5 Pebbles, all he does is send you off with vague directions and even more questions.
And I think it's brilliant that, from a gameplay perspective, perspective, the region gets less threatening the deeper you get into it. The starting area and unfortunate development are by far the most dangerous, with recursive transform arrays being a step down, and memory conflicts and general systems buffs being almost completely threat-free, which, if you somehow never find the shelter in the region, speaking from experience here, oops, is so unusually nice of the game. It can be a long, stressful cycle, but at least you're probably not gonna die near the end of it. We also had a pro versus anti-zero gravity debate in the comments with plenty of folks on both sides, so I'll end the debate here. It's good, actually, and it's a skill issue if you feel otherwise. I will not elaborate. Anyways, a potpourri of other comments I liked.
The low gravity is pretty fun to work around, and the lack of a timer made it relaxing until you're blindsided by the rat infesting the interior for the first time. It was the first time I saw the rat personally, and it totally terrified me. Great impression of the region.
Weird spaceship level jump scare. I like the anti-gravity levels. It's kind of like liminal space. It feels very familiar. I liken it to old mobile games I used to play. It's an interesting concept. I like the nervous system themed objects.
Random gods. Definitely my favorite region in the game. Every single room can be made into a desktop wallpaper, and I know because I've done it.
Who doesn't think swimming through a larger-than-life semi-organic supercomputer is cool?
My wife.
What? You know what? No, I'm not gonna question it. We're moving on. To the top 10. Ooh. We're down to 4 base game regions, 3 downpour regions, and 3 watcher regions. A shockingly even spread. But one of them's got to go, and it looks like it's, with just 1 more vote than 5 pebbles, at 84 votes, the 3rd most popular watcher region, it's Ancient Urban. Look, I get it. If you are a lore sicko, this is the region for you. An utterly ridiculous inclusion into Rainworld's lore and worldbuilding that sort of changed our understanding of the ancients, or benefactors. I see people calling them that now. I'm not going to. And I love and respect that for y'all. I just don't find it the most fun to play Rainworld in. I do admire that for a purely lore region, there's still places where you can die and frick up all the plot momentum, which I think is one of the trademark elements of Rainworld, making its cutscenes playable and not completely defanging the gameplay in the process. I love that for Rainworld. I hope future Rainworlds never change this fundamental aspect of the game. Anyways, lore sickos, hit me with your best comments.
Every room in this region is perfect. Genuinely my favorite Rainworld experience going through it for the first time.
They had cars, and that is how they lived? Besides echoes, this is the closest interaction with the ancients, and when I got there, I was so mesmerized.
Benefactor noises and visuals while they're alive? Mice? Not eomorphs? Oh, we've never been so back.
Oh, we're all too busy freaking out to even be coherent? Honestly, fair. How about a more measured response, then?
As a certified ancient culture enthusiast, I had to include this one somewhere. I mean, it's a fully inhabited ancient city. You learn so much about them. The pottery, the mask on the walls, the Ascension Temple, Spinning Top's bedroom, the pearl reading device, the monster tracking bands on their legs. I played Watcher completely blind, and when I first walked into that room, you know the one, I tell you, it was the hypest mode of the entire game. It's also the home of my favorite Rainworld character, Spinning Top, and I really love the conclusion to their story here.
Yeah, I will say, and I had plenty of comments expressing the same, I think this is still my favorite ending in the Watcher, definitely the one with the strongest emotional pull to it. And if the other endings had never been added, I still would have been more than satisfied with it. It's a lot smaller scale and more personal than most Rainworld endings, and I just appreciate that a lot. Not every Slugcat needs to be cosmically important. Sometimes they just need to be a dead kid's friend.
Spinning Top's story was my favorite part of the Watcher as a whole. I started bawling my eyes out when I got to the mask room. 10 out of 10. I love feeling a sense of longing for the world just outside my reach.
Alright, back to the peanut gallery. I really wasn't expecting Ancients to be that large compared to Slugcats.
Ancient Urban is the best a region with no gameplay could be. The vibes are immaculate, and the progression through the region creates a sort of macro puzzle that is satisfying to progress through.
As you move through Ancient Urban, every section feels like it's building up to something big. That moment when you enter a room and see the living inhabitants of that world, it genuinely made me cry. It's perhaps the single greatest room in all of Rainworld, and definitely in the top 3 greatest moments in gaming.
Everyone talks about the shop room in AU, but personally, I freaked out over the bedroom. It's such a mundane and personal aspect of the citizens' lives, and I'm so glad we got to one.
I have a thing for massive abandoned structures that once served great purpose when they were used, and Ancient Urban is exactly that. It just feels so liminal.
And one final, lengthy but worth it comment. Mostly, I just think it's honestly really poetic that Ancient Urban has the only beta shelter in the entirety of the Watcher. Like, in Downpour, beta shelters only appeared in Outer Expanse, a destination besides the Void Sea, a region that, to me at least, embodies the idea of finding peace and contentedness within the bounds of the cycle, taking a moment to step back and savor the moment, to stop and smell the roses. And for me at least, Ancient Urban kind of feels really similar. It's safe, it's got plenty of food, it's got toys, it's basically guaranteed to be your first ending unless you go out of your way to avoid it. It's a moment of peace, a respite from the agonies of the cycle, a chance to stop and smell the roses and remember what it was like to be a kid, before this pilgrimage began, before everything went wrong, when you didn't need to focus on survival and instead were able to simply live. Man, Rainworld truly is the game of all time. Okay, 9th place with 88 votes, and I am so proud of this region for making it all the way up here. Submerged Superstructure, 3rd highest ranked Downpour region, which is too low, but details. Obviously one of my votes, it's still my absolute favorite region in the game, and it's still not particularly close. You may not be shocked to find I like it more now than I used to. Like, for one, have y'all ever gotten back to this region post-Rivulet's ending, either as Riv or as Saint? Seeing all the long defunct machinery steadily turning on, swimming back to the heart and getting whisked away in the currents pumping you along. All that alongside the robe you can find as Monk. It's wild how much extra detail they put in this region that most players are never going to see. They didn't have to, but they did, and the region is so much cooler for it. I had one comment summing up the region's strongest appeal perfectly.
A whole journey of a region.
And then a few others elaborating on what exactly that means.
I love how expansive it feels. The interest is hidden away too, which makes it feel like stumbling upon something not supposed to be seen. Swimming down to the vents as revealers will never get told.
Submerged superstructure is, in my opinion, the most grand any superstructure region has ever felt to me. From the giant flooded rooms and vents to the nearly empty halls of the overgrown memory conflicts, submerged superstructure gives me the peak Grand World feeling. Melancholy paired with excitement to explore a forgotten land.
Submerged superstructure is massive. Exploring it is like an adventure. The music tracks are all very atmospheric, well-placed, and memorable. How Bitter Airy uses background music while still feeling desolate is how I wish Silent Construct was.
The atmosphere of submarine caverns, submerged iterator corridors of emergency lighting, naturally lit parts of ruined moon structure, and frigid Bitter Airy provide both horror and respite.
It is very big, but hey, I like mazes, so shrug. And then a lot of voters who just feel strongly about the region.
By far my favorite region. I specifically love the upper part near Moon's memory conflicts where random fate plays. Seeing the life grow in the top area of Moon's ruins is both a beautiful sight and a somber reminder of Moon's fate, which is a shining example of what I think makes Rainworld's world so appealing.
Similarly to the rat, I like this one both a lot for the emotional experience and for the gameplay. I love swimming through this waterlogged maze, scavenging for food and using every tool at my disposal. Fun and very beautiful.
It's peaceful and nerve-wracking at the same time.
A very pretty region, and the story beats hits real hard. Like when you're in that one Talus room and that Moonbound remix plays, makes me feel emotions. I can tolerate swimming for some good old-fashioned emotions.
Hearing random fate as you climb your way to memory conflicts, emerging into Bitter Airy and seeing snow for the first time is so tragic and so beautiful.
I have thalassophobia, yet this is one of my favorite regions to occasionally visit. The entire region is amazing, but the sections that are completely submerged are my favorite. The fear of being trapped in an underwater room with a Leviathan and Aquapete is like nothing else I've experienced in Rainworld. Absolutely peak region.
Just purely exploring the sunken superstructure and comparing it to her pre-collapse state in Spear Master's campaign really put everything into perspective.
Never had a physical location in the video game make me cry before. 10 out of 10. Gorgeous in visuals and music. Beautiful story ties, great variety and exploration. It's quite near perfect.
And someone who had the experience.
I remember when I accidentally stumbled upon Submerged Superstructure as Survivor, thinking it was the final region only because it was at the final pip on the bar, and then getting stuck there for countless cycles. But it was fun swinging around in all the foreign rooms that appeared not at all similar to what I expected. And trying to move throughout the whole region despite constantly being low on air was also a fun challenge. It's so fun as Survivor and Monk. So painful but so fun. Last but not least, we have the reason I love it.
As someone who loves swimming in this game, this region feels like it was made for me.
Hell yeah, swimming baby! Nah, it's like all of the above and then some. Submerged is the gift that keeps on giving, and I'm never unhappy to come back here. And at just one vote above Submerged, some near ties up here, huh? In 8th place with 89 votes, it's our 4th most popular base game region, Chimney Canopy, which is honestly a little shocking to me. The region's good and it's fairly popular, but this popular? I mean, not knocking it, I'm just shocked that even with the buff of being a base game region, it's contending of all these other regions that have so much more sauce to them. You know what I mean, right? If I had to guess why, it's probably because it's the most balanced base game region. It's got a lot more platforming than most other base game regions, but the platforming isn't as tough as the exterior or Sky Islands. The lower areas have more creatures, and often more dangerous ones, than most other regions, but not quite as extreme as Subterranean's creature density. And it's a vertically oriented region, which basically only it and the exterior share in the base game. It's cool, it's brown, I like it a lot. I'm just a bit flabbergasted to see it up this high, but it's very tall, so maybe I shouldn't be. Anyways, what did y'all have to say about it?
Going through this place is both fun and torture.
Fun, but plays like cancer sometimes.
Kind of a toxic relationship, to be honest. It's caused me so much agony, but it's still fun.
Best rage bait to ever rage bait. I love and hate going through the 5 stages of grief every time.
Stockholm Syndrome, low-key.
Y'all know you're supposed to vote for regions that you like, right? Anyways, there was another type of comment I got a lot of.
It's chaotic and fun.
Utter chaos, always a fun challenge.
It's fun, a lot of chaos, and nice threat theme that plays almost all the time.
I love the chaos. I revel in it. I have 5 vulture masks and I need more.
Chaos!
I love Chimney Canopy for its chaos. The constant fighting between lizards and scavengers, vultures swimming in, and so on. On higher difficulties is an absolute war zone, especially fun for Spearmaster or Artificer.
Whole house mad.
Which, I feel like Chimney gets its reputation specifically because of one room.
Specifically those couple rooms right at the start, you know the ones. It's so entertaining to just watch the absolute carnage going on there.
COA, yeah, a couple of y'all had fun stories about it.
The feeling of wandering in the chimney from Industrial, being in that quiet little corner with wind chimes playing, only to be almost instantly placed into a brutal mosh pit and have to sneak, run, and fight your way to the lonely towers at the top where the only real threat are solitary villagers that feel more like boss fights than almost anything else in the game.
The whole region is great, but I'm specifically thinking of that one stretch of rooms between the industrial gate and the gutter entrance. I've spent a lot of time there, mostly in expedition mode. I'll start a new run with a bunch of hunting
challenges, immediately make a beeline for Chimney Canopy, and then spend the whole game running between those two shelters while farming points from creature kills in the middle. I'm not worried about grinding karma or progressing the plot, I'm just an animal trying to survive in this little patch of territory, and that's exactly what I wanted from Rainworld when I first started playing. That section feels like a second home to me now. That red lizard is my beloved neighbor, and I say hi to her every morning. I think everyone has that one red lizard they're friends with. Mine's the one in Shrouded Stacks. Buddy. A couple other miscellaneous comments. To me, Rainworld's most impressive feat is its combat. Between everything else, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but this game's combat for me is its best aspect. Chimney Canopy to me is essentially an enemy gauntlet, and one of incredibly interesting arenas at that.
I love the bottomless pits. I love the 1 million lizards room. I love the constant onslaught of vultures. I love the confusing maze of possible paths. The region feels like a true test of your skill, while also not demanding you use a janky feature that no one likes.
Has a special place in my heart, as the region I always traverse to get the 5 pebbles. Playing as Saint and finding the bridge to the wall gone was one of the most impactful moments in gaming I've ever had. The fact you immediately know something's gone horribly wrong, incredible.
It's just fun. Probably my favorite gameplay region. I also enjoy the industrial aesthetic a lot. Its simplistic vibe is something I really like and miss about base game Rainworld. Its name is also fun to say.
Screw what other people say about industrial, I think this is the quintessential Rainworld region.
Simply a Rainworld classic.
Yeah, you know what? Y'all have made your point. Again, no shade to Chimney, I think it's a rock solid region. Okay, y'all, it's time. The moment you may or may not have been waiting for. Coming in at 7th place with 96 votes, our third most popular base game region, and by far our most popular sub-region, the Wall from the exterior. I mean, it's a really pretty region. It's not too bad when you're going down it. Look, I have never really had a reason to change my mind about the Wall. I'm gonna be a hater till the day I die. Bad first-time experiences paired with many other future bad experiences have created an insurmountable, wall of disdain for it that isn't ever going to be overcome. Even with all the cool moments, even with all the beautiful vibes, I like playing Rainworld, and this region is so bad to play. But we're here to be positive, so I'll shut up and let y'all speak your truths.
Brilliant sub-region all around, one that is, if you will excuse me, perfect in comparison to any other area in the game. The climb is enjoyable and is rewarded with the 2 coolest vistas in the game, as well as an encounter with 6 grains of gravel, no matter your karma level. Sneaking through and past the lizard orb is always a fun challenge, and I like how each of the downports lookouts each have a unique way of traversing up and back down the sub-region. The views are breathtaking, and the sand lizards are a fun challenge added with the earlier campaigns.
I cried when I saw the rooftop view, one of the best highlights of my first time playing. Leaving 5 Pebbles region to go through a long hallway and then seeing the remains of the ancient city as Stargazer plays and you see the pretty sky for the first time and its moon makes you gain a whole new perspective of the world of Rainworld. People used to live here, but they've left. You trek along the long path thinking you've just seen what this place offers, only to step out and see other iterator cans, resulting in one of the best views in the entire game. Rivulet's lighting on the wall, especially the room of the orange lizards, makes me feel so calm and cold. I love that feeling that the atmosphere gives off. And overall, above the clouds, amazing.
The ascent out of the General System's bus to the Wall is something you can only experience once. It is one of the most defining moments of how gigantic the world truly feels, especially as a creature so small. More than the towering buildings, more than the expansive ocean waters, it's that moment where you jump straight down and see the vast expanse of civilization that sits atop the superstructure. It's something that stuck with me for as long as I picked up the game for the first time.
Scaling the Wall is either the most fun you'll have in a campaign or the least, rarely in between.
Hey, you said it, not me. Anyways,
there is nothing like the first time you successfully scale the Wall. On my first playthrough, I made the unwise decision to climb the Wall as I had not managed to find memory crypts and so had missed the intended route to 5 Pebbles. Because of this, I probably spent close to 2 hours trying and failing to get to the top. It was incredibly frustrating, but when I finally succeeded and looked at the view from the very top, it was clear just how far I had come and how much larger this rainy world was than I had thought. I'm sure if I had gone up the leg on my first playthrough and climbed down the Wall on my way out of 5 Pebbles, I would have had an easier time with it, but I also think I wouldn't like it as much as I do.
See, I think the thing for me, the thing that gets me about the Wall is that if it was just hard the first time and then not too bad once you know it, fine, that's Rainworld. It's that it stays hard, mostly because of one room that takes 5 minutes to get back to each time. Anyways, this region specifically is what made me fall in love with this game. Scaling the Wall is unlike anything else in the game, and the ability to stand on the edge and gaze upon the entire world is absolutely incredible. On top of that, the view of the city either exiting 5 Pebbles or reaching him from the Wall is probably the best view in the entire game, invoking a melancholic sense of mystery. Despite thousands of hours of play, I think this is the only region that can recreate the feeling that playing this game for the first time invoked.
It is a rite of passage for many players, and very satisfying to complete if tackled.
Alright, and that is everything that I personally have to say about the Wall. We're not quite done with base game regions yet though. In 6th place at 99 votes, just one shy of double digits, Industrial Complex, which yeah, I can agree, probably my second favorite base game region too.
Industrial Complex?
I find it quite simple actually.
Really? It's not that complex.
We're all very funny here. Though I will admit that it's been long enough that maybe I am starting to get a little bit bored of it. I think it's the Watcher that did it. Like half, if not more, of the prologue is just running through Industrial again and again. And they make you do that because it's such a convenient hub and such a generally comfortable region. Two of the things I love about it, but I think I'm just numb to how perfect it is, having known it like the back of my hand for years now. Regions with more sauce, more intrigue, are what I'm more into these days. But like, that doesn't stop Industrial from being perfect, so... And it is iconic. Here's the voters saying that in a bunch of different ways. It's genuinely such a well-designed region. It's the John Rainworld region. It's the John Rainworld of regions to me. I gotta love it for that. It's simply iconic. When I think of Rainworld, I think of Industrial.
Home base and the coming of age of many Rainworld players.
The hub region of the world.
Industrial Complex is the core of Rainworld. It's a boring region compared to what came after, but it is also where Rainworld's early game truly shines.
It's the most Rainworld region. If you want to just play the normal gameplay loop of Rainworld, Industrial might be the best place to do it. Okay level design, good music, great connections.
Industrial is the Rainworld region. It's so Rainworld in every aspect, it's always the first thing I think of when I envision the Rainworld region. I can draw the map from memory. I spent at minimum 100 hours in this region.
Literally the ideal Rainworld region.
Yeah, pretty much. Is the John Rainworld thing from someone else? I feel like I've heard it before. I don't know. Anyways, some other comments I thought were fun. I use this region as an example and a standard for all other regions. It does everything well and has the added bonus of some of that Rainworld Alpha charm. I wish hydroponics were accessible for all campaigns though. I love hydroponics.
The vibes of an abandoned factory overtaken with life is like peak. I'll really miss this region in future standalone installments of the Rainworld series.
I think future Rainworlds should all have Industrial in them, but no other base game regions, with no lore explanation as to why. It should just always be there, menacingly.
If Outskirts is Babby's first region, then Industrial is where players actually start to experience Rainworld. Lots of great encounters and opportunities to see the creatures interact with each other.
Very lizard friendly. It also has nice aesthetics.
This region feels like home in weird sense of this word. It's full of predators that will maul you without any second thought, but this place still feels somewhat cozy.
But they get here only because I have an unhealthy obsession with bioengineering.
Bad scientists be like.
Industrial Complex, it's not too special, but it's my home. That upper left shelter is my second bedroom. I know where everything is, I always travel through it. It's Rainworld personified, and I always breathe a little easier in there.
Industrial is home to Room ID HIBO6, aka the battleground against my rival Ricky the Red, the scourge of Industrial. I know you see this, Ricky. Stop running away after Force Spirits and fight me like a man, you coward!
Everyone has that one red lizard that's their mortal rival too, yes. Except me. I love them all and they're all my friends. Here's me ending the segment with one long but well-written comment like I tend to do. Basic take, I know, but Industrial really is just a perfect encapsulation of what Rainworld is. A small creature walking through a world lost to a now dead industrialization effort, yet still continuing through nothing but a desire to survive and explore. The gameplay design is very on point, food is very well placed such that it is very easy to be fed here as an experienced player, but as a newer player you may struggle to fill your stomach. The enemy choices are great, with arguably the three most important enemies making appearances. It's pretty, has the best soundtrack in the game, bioengineering, connects to everywhere, and it's just kind of the perfect Rainworld region in general. I really could have made just that one comment the entire segment, but I wanted to read off as many comments as I could, so yeah. Anyways, the top 5. 1 base game region, 2 Dawnport regions, 2 Watcher regions. The balance is not disturbed. Everything left got over 100 votes. At least one of every 5 submitters had each of these on their list, which is about as close to consensus as anything here got. And I'm more than thrilled that among these regions is our second place Watcher region, and in my humble opinion, the most atmospheric and terrifying region in the game. In 5th place, with 107 votes, it's Outer Rim. Yeah, I was honestly inches away from giving this a vote too. If I had a 6th vote, I probably would have. Not that it would have changed things, but I still don't know if any other Rainworld experiences felt so hopeless as my first time here. I genuinely thought that the desert might just go on forever, that you were expected to keep going and going until the cycle ended and you got buried under the sands. And frankly, had that been the case, I might have loved it even more than I do. If the entire region was just the endless barren desert, it had definitely gotten my vote. One voter agreed.
I loved that one long series of rooms that just sand. I unironically enjoyed just holding one direction and mindlessly walking in this game.
Anyways, I have an unbelievable amount of great comments here, more than I can read off, so here's the highlights.
Every room in Outer Rim is like a painting, with beautiful ancient buildings in a style never seen before. The green of the stars, the glistening sands and star catchers complement each other perfectly. The music supports the ambience, resulting in a feeling of truly being at the end of everything.
I think that it gives some respect from having to be on edge like you do for most of the time, and the immaculate atmosphere, the art, the incredibly intriguing setting, and the feeling of desolation and this being the edge of the world, be it physical or temporal, is just too good for me. I like the feeling that I'm at the end of something once great, and this region sells that better than any other.
The absolute goat of a show don't tell region. Very little dialogue, but we can infer so much about the nature of the world and its history just from observing what is present in this region.
Seeing so many aspects of Rainworld's world building get tied together here while opening the doors to even more questions is just so damn cool.
Man, the sheer desolation, alienness, wrongness, loneliness of it, the length of it silently walking and taking it all in, the wind blowing off the sands and dust away, the weird music, the emptiness, just the sense of wrongness. It's so on point. It's one hell of an experience.
There is something so special to me about how empty and dead the region feels. I think they absolutely nailed the concept of going too far off the rifts. Really felt like being there was a mistake, even more so than with the rotted regions.
Rick once said that this feels like the sort of place you have to cheat to get to, like the out of bounds of reality. That's really stuck with me. It's such an odd and magical place.
The atmosphere of this place always gets me. This completely deserted city with the feeling of something powerful beyond you lurking in the air. The place where they tried to harvest the stars and everything fell to ruin in the sand. This area is the embodiment of nothing beside remains, and it's incredible.
I really love the atmosphere of Outer Rim. It's something that you can't really find anywhere else in the game. An empty and desolate city buried beneath stardust sands and swirling winds. It's vacuous in a way no other region is. Even Damon, despite its lack of creatures, feels like a living entity in of itself. But despite this desolation, there is still one place holding something akin to life, the throne. This subregion is a pocket of life in long decayed ruins, yet it's simultaneously the antithesis of life, preventing change and death and all that's supposed to come with being alive. Life preserved in eternal stasis.
The prince is my favorite character in the Rain World. His personality as a naive youngster trying to make the world a better place but ultimately causing harm is an amazing story.
I'm eating so much sand.
I think we can all agree that every last one of those comments was equally insightful and well spoken. And in 4th place of 114 votes, a region that for quite a while was actually in the top 3, which was both super cool and honestly pretty unexpected. It got overtaken in the end, which is a shame because it would have been really cool to have one of each piece of Rainbow in the top 3, but alas, it'll just have to settle for being the most popular base game region, Sky Islands. And what a redemption story on this one, from one of the most hated base game regions to comfortably the most popular one. Again, I was inches away from giving this a vote myself too, ended up giving it to Windswept Spires instead, so close enough. Not like that one vote would have mattered anyways, because like, I don't know man, Sky Islands is actually something else. I think it's easily the prettiest base game region, which certainly does a lot for it, but it's also probably the most difficult, all things considered. It's like the region of any Hunter playthrough, the make or break part of your journey, and for any less mobile slugcat, it tends to remain fairly challenging. But then coming back here with Artie River State just completely transforms the region into this wonderful platforming sandbox that makes me feel like the absolute king of the world. Even if I still loathe the squids with all my being, well, now I have several ways to not deal with them. Anyways, enough yapping from me, onto y'all's thoughts.
Saint's starting region will always be special to me. Snow or no snow, it's super pretty and fun to play through.
Yeah, exactly. Saint, smiley face.
Outskirts and industrial complex got the essentials of Rain World gameplay, while the wall got those great views from above the clouds. If only there was a region that combined all of that, and added the warmth of a 4 p.m. afternoon sun, and also placed lovely arms as the introduction, which perfectly fits the vibes of a cozy afternoon. Sky Islands is the best region in Rain World for me as a whole. It's so pretty and chaotic. I remember that I never even visited Sky Islands during my first playthrough, and then I did, and wow. I got stuck there for a while, but it was real fun.
When I first reached Sky Islands, I hated it. Now I actually think I love it. The color palette is great, and the downpour connection to Pipeyard makes this a great route for obligatory noon runs to Moon. I kind of feel like just going the chimney to the industrial to Shaded is both easier and faster, but hey, whatever works. I truly understand the frustration that many feel regarding this area, because the spawns are just incredibly chaotic, and the platforming, especially on a first playthrough, is super hardcore, but this region is ironically the most cozy for me in the game. Fantastically vibrant visuals, and the absolute chaos the creature spawns cause be damned. Every base game and most Downpour playthroughs will end up in me traversing this wholly engaging paradise.
Sky Islands is a perfect hard region in my opinion. It has a unique focus on platforming compared to many other places, all while not absurdly hard but really unique creature spawns taking up the region. The visuals are also so breezy and beautiful. It is the opposite of the claustrophobic feeling many Rain World regions give me.
Sky Islands has fun, somewhat sketchy platforming, a unique tropical aesthetic, and a wide variety of creatures to encounter. I like how the uncooperative squid cadres provide a risk-reward element to the platforming.
Personally, I like my platforming over Insta-Death Pits to be, consistent, but I get it. There's something very relaxing about this region. It has relatively easy access to food, relatively challenging platforming, and a bunch of lizards and squid cadres, which makes it a great place to tame them. I do not have as elaborate of a reason as I do for my other picks, but Sky Islands is my home. I know it like the back of my hand. One time I drew a map of it from memory, including poor locations, and I got it mostly right. I love that the radio tower region has lizards that communicate through radio waves. That is exactly Rainbow's brain of stupid and simultaneously fascinating concepts. It represents the idea of a biosphere very well, with how the creatures interact with the environment and how the nature grows around the industrial landscape.
Soft, airy, lively, and somehow jovially melancholic in its beauty. It probably has the best soundtrack among the base game regions, with lovely arbs, crystalline, and silicon encapsulating its atmosphere.
Hands down the most beautiful region in the entirety of base game and Downpour. The colors are just so fantastic and blend so well together. There's no better scenery than exiting farm rays into Sky Islands and just seeing the rainbow that occasionally occurs there. It's so wonderful.
Perpetual sunset, beautiful oddly colored flora, golden beams penetrating dark rooms. This place is just so pretty. Bonus points for looking like a big lesbian flag. Shout out lesbians, the true best region in Rain World. On to the podium, the top 3. Legally, objectively, according to this survey, the best regions in all of this big rained world. And taking home the bronze with 126 votes, our second most popular Downpour region, Metropolis. Yeah, not shocked. Metropolis is like, it has all the lore sauce of ancient urban, perhaps even more so as a 6-year promise fulfilled.
Oh wow, there's a city on top of the giant robot. I wish I could go there. Me and my first Survivor run.
But it also has like actual Rain World gameplay, platforming tuned around Artie's double jump, swarms and swarms of funny monkeys, and honest to god boss fight. Like, I still wouldn't rank it among my favorites. I'm honestly not sure I've come back to it even once since my original region ranking. I don't play Artificer a ton, but I completely and totally get it. It's a high action battleground across a post-apocalyptic city that gives us more insight into the ancients than any region before it, and it's got such a diverse array of subregions that give it the depth and variety that few other regions can match. And the sky is very, very pretty. Some of the architecture here is genuinely bonkers. How did they do that? That being said, the voters here have better praise for it than I do, so I'll throw it over to y'all.
I knew I was going to love Metropolis from the moment I stepped into that first room where Lost City starts playing. The airy, majestic synths create the perfect atmosphere of desolation and loneliness, perfectly setting the tone for the region to come. From there, I love the two paths you can take, either across the floor through the spooky train tunnels and dimly lit back alleyways, or up through the concrete canopy of skyscrapers and other colossal structures of unknown purpose.
Metropolis is the most grandeur location in the game by far. All 3 paths you are able to take to the chieftain fight are all very beautiful and they give you a broader look into the ancients' culture.
The significance for the Artificer campaign is incredible. Both Lost City and the threat themes are immaculate, the first of them also being great at conveying the state of despair this kind of future-bended structure this region invokes in me. Just seeing what has been lost to time.
One of the greatest things about it, though, is that you can access and navigate it with non-arty slugcasts through glitches. There's just something thrilling about breaking into a video game area you're not supposed to be. I'm also just a movement junkie, so getting a chance to actually use eccentric movement is really rewarding.
Amazing threat music that really sells the feeling of you being the threat here.
I really enjoyed the feeling of being deep in enemy territory. Bonus points for being an abandoned city.
Place is very sleepable, has nice winds, good sky view, and pearl chains everywhere, plus an orally pleasing soundtrack I can recommend for your next road trip.
I know that a lot of people love this region's upper areas, but I feel like areas like the floor are fantastic. I actually just went on the different lower routes of the House of Rage for Audie's run and I had a blast. Highly recommended.
Has one of my favorite shelters, LCSO6.
They really cooked with the downpour shelters. Yeah, some of them are nuts. Anyways, I got one really long comment that was just so loaded with small insights that I felt the need to read out most of it, so here we go.
I joined the fandom like 3 months before Downpour came out, just enough to hear about people wanting to see more of the ancient city. I think Metropolis is cool as hell, if only because it gave us that. I've always loved the fact that it doesn't rain on top of the wall, and I love that Downpour made it actually turn night when it starts raining. In Metropolis, it also works as compensation for the rain as a game mechanic. You don't exactly have a time limit per cycle, but it does get more dangerous at night. But just getting to see the sunset in the nighttime in Raid World is so cool and so pretty. Yeah, the day-night cycle in general is just really cool. All the regions that have it did really well here, and I totally get why. Continuing, on another note, I adore the environmental storytelling here. One really interesting thing I noticed is that Metropolis is big. It works great for the end of Artificer's campaign gameplay-wise. It forces you to really use those explosive jumps, but I also find it really cool because it tells us a little about what the ancients looked like. I adore the ads. I love the parts that just look like a subway tunnel. Like, oh my god, this is a city. They had a subway. Just, it makes me feel things.
Shout out public transportation. Gotta be one of my favorite genders. Metropolis #1 region of all time for being a welcomable city, clearly. Alright, the moment of truth. 2 regions left, and once I tell you what got the silver medal, y'all will know which region won. Is it gonna be our last Downpour region or our last Watcher one? It was closer than I expected. We have a whopping 33 vote gap up to 159 votes, by far the biggest in the entire ranking, but not quite enough to close the gap between it and the #1. Our runner-up, the most popular Watcher region, Signal Spires. Cue the comments. Pink! Pink. So pink. Pink.
It's pink and purple.
The pink region. How could I not love it?
It made me feel tickle pink because it's springtime.
It's very pink and very cool, like Verdant Waterways.
Yeah, so in the battle of pink versus green, pink went out big. I feel like pink isn't a color we see much in Rain World, whereas there's green everywhere, and I am not at all surprised Signal Spires was the fan favorite Watcher region. I'm a little more surprised it was this popular overall, but not disappointed for it. Signal Spires feels like a region born out of learning from the mistakes of other regions. It's similar in design to the exterior, but it solves all the problems I have with that region. It has its own take on the reindeer from Farmer Race, but one that's much more intuitive and has way more aura to boot. And it tosses the reliance on squid caddis from Sky Islands, the region it most visually resembles, in favor of grapple worms, which are way more fun. It's just like probably the closest we've gotten to a perfect Rain World region gameplay-wise. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at, and it's incredibly fun, even in its difficulty. I, of course, did not vote for it anyways, but like, it'd make my top 10 easy. Anyways, y'all's experiences now. Mostly just a bunch of comments about how pretty it is, which, yes, correct, but we don't need to hear that 50 times, so here's some of the the highlights. Signal Spires was simply breathtaking. First, coming out of that portal and seeing everything drenched in pink light was a magical experience. Then I finally reached a top far above the clouds looking over a vast landscape, and even seeing the old concept art structures for the iterators, I was sure that this DLC would be something special. And then the Skywhale sequence. It even surpassed the calm moment of the reindeer ride for me. This region left me speechless and in awe.
Finding out I had missed the frankly obvious second half of the region was genuinely magical in my first playthrough. It all made sense. Signal Spires plural, with the other superstructures in the background also having 2 spires. Its threat theme feels like a reprise of Sky Islands, being a little less intense but still capturing the same news channel vibes.
The pink hue in the background could be due to the gas the whales and vultures used to float. Perhaps, thinking emoji.
We'd love a good lore theory here. I'm legally declaring this as canon now, not open to debate.
Signal Spires feel so alien in the best and most exciting Watcher way. The Skywalls are really great and add so much to the vibe. The visuals are obviously incredible, and I love the feeling of standing up the region. Being so late into the Watcher makes it feel like a safe haven around all other bleak areas. I think I almost cried when I played Watcher for the first time, seeing that gorgeous region riding on the Skywhales, the beautiful pink sunset in the background. Oh man.
Whale ride made me cry.
Yeah, okay, this game is beautiful, and I sort of maybe teared up at the really long Skywhale ride room. It's just pretty, okay?
Genuinely, this is how the best regions should make you feel. I was also just in complete awe my first time through the Skywhale room. Rainworld is truly a game unlike any other. Anyways, to close things off, I have a bone to pick. It's pretty close to the perfect Rainworld region, but it's held back by its unfortunately weak warp points, shattered tears, and verdant waterways. If this region used the gate system of Vanilla and Downpour, it'd be much easier for me to call it perfect. Okay, and what does this change about the region itself? If the portals were replaced by gates, they'd still connect to the same regions, probably, and it wouldn't serve the atmosphere or the story of the Watcher at all. The haphazard jumping about in both time and space that's core to the Watcher's journey. Yes, it's different from base game and Downpour, but that's the point. I feel like anyone complaining about the portals just doesn't get Watcher. Blah. Okay, rant over. We gotta get to Outer Expanse. Oh yeah, if you hadn't already figured it out, in first place with 174 votes, both the most popular Downpour region and most popular region overall, to absolutely nobody's surprise, Outer Expanse. Yeah, duh. I kinda expected this from the get-go, and the real surprise was that even one other region was able to compete with it. And I'm gonna be so real, I feel like in both my previous rankings including it, I've underrated this place. Maybe because in the region ranking, I was only ranking the main chunk of the region in isolation, which is kinda missing the forest for the trees. The combined full region is so well structured as a journey that it transcends the sum of its parts. It's, as one commentator put it, a breathtaking 3-act journey showcasing some of the most beautiful rooms ever crafted. Also, it has the best soundtrack. Let me just correct that on record. Put it number 2 in the region ranking and number 1 in the music ranking. And oh yeah, I also voted for it here too, both as reparations and also just because it's probably the second best region overall. Genuinely, is any other region prettier? It doesn't have the absolute strongest atmosphere, but there is no one region more compelling to explore, just for how much goddamn eye candy is scattered all over this massive place. The stark lighting overlooking the gloomy swamp of Sunken Pier, the collapsed train tower right near the main region's entrance, the Survivor intro recreation, 5 pebbles living in the background of the tallest tree in the region, all the slugcats running around at Journey's End, simply unmatched. Quite possibly the funniest comment I received all video.
Probably also a hot take. I don't know, I just really enjoy the vibes of it.
Does they know? Anyways, a resident essayist had a lot to say, and I had to cut together a somewhat streamlined version of it.
The light rain made me feel things. I really love the ruins in Outer Expanse. The entire world of Rainworld is very industrial, and most of it is literal machines. These places were built to be functional, to be efficient. It was not made for anyone to see it. Even Metropolis, where they did live, is just depressing. This is the city of people who did not care about life. The Outer Expanse ruins, though, they are not that. They are beautiful. They have architecture. These were built for people to live in them. People lived here. These people did not think of their lives as so meaningless back then. If they had to see these buildings every day, they might as well make them beautiful, and at some point that changed. Really beautiful manifestation of Downpour's theme, that life is worth living for the small joys and rare beauty of it, and a good way to show the ancients' role in constructing that theme. Whoever you are, you should probably take up writing, or making videos, or whatever, doing my job for me here. Bunch of other miscellaneous comments I liked. Farmeries left me wondering what could be further beyond it. Outer Expanse was an incredible answer to that.
Venturing beyond that facility feels so mysterious yet liberating.
The Sunken Pier is pretty underrated though. It has a sense of feeling like you've got when you're in a several hour-long car trip to the ocean or somewhere and just figured to stop by at a random gas station and think this may look like somewhere where no one lives and there's literally nothing around, but this is the way to some nice place.
The fact you have to go through Sunken Pier, a far more gloomy region, just to get to the sunny and bright region itself is genius. The ruined cathedral architecture combined with industrial trains running through it add to the mystery of the place.
I'm fascinated with these sorts of lush, prospering places of biodiversity, and this region with its music and art gives it that very cluttered and alive look, the best out of any region.
Although it might feel overcrowded sometimes, I still think it's such a beautiful region. It feels so full of
of life and doesn't ever get boring as there's always something going on.
Beautiful. This really does feel like Slugcat's native habitat. I love how Outer Expanse on the whole is not a hard region. The lack of challenge makes surviving here come naturally. You truly feel like a Slugcat.
Outer Expanse shows how godlike but also neutral the interregners are to the outside world. Gormon's campaign ending there and the beautiful look at 5 Pebbles superstructure helps show how insignificant your story is in the long-term rain world.
I screamed when I saw another Skug for the first time.
Love the ending here, basically being a giant FU to the ancients who so desperately wanted to die. Skugs just living their best life. And ending of some bed hedgers that won big.
Pretty sure this is everyone's favorite region. It just does so much right and is a joy to explore from start to finish. Nothing beats climbing the tree and listening to reminiscence while the clouds slowly roll over Pebbles Kin in the background. The peak rain world.
Who didn't expect Outer Expanse to be here? It's just the best region overall. I mean, yeah, I guess it is, bestie. Can't argue with democracy.
Anyways, thanks for watching and participating and commenting on the video. If you're upset with the results, don't get mad at me. Get mad at everyone else for not stating nachos will never be the same hard enough. This was definitely more of a community project than a me project, and I hope my presentation of these results and y'all's lovely comments, which in about a week after the video goes up, I'll make the results spreadsheet public so all the ones I couldn't read can still be found by the curious. That's about all I have, so I'm excited to see this video become obsolete when they inevitably release more Rain World. Hell yeah, the relentless march of time. But yeah, I've been Crow, I'll see you whenever. Maybe in a review of the Rain World LEGO sets once I get my hands on them. Till next time, peace.